You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 93 with MolGoatKirby. MolGoat, how you doing this fine evening?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm very excited to talk today. You have honestly been a recommended guest for the past few months, and especially with ToA release, your videos and your guides and just everything has been super helpful for like people getting into ToA and getting to their 500 Fang kit, stuff like that. So yeah, you've definitely been talk of the town lately, and it's a pleasure to finally get you on. I want to pick your brain today.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
So let's, I guess, have a brief introduction of you. Who are you, and how did you like get onto like the old school scene? When did you start streaming and all that stuff? When did your name start getting a little bit more popularized around the community?
I'm MolGoatKirby. Used to go by Dark Lord 1A. Essentially, I got into the game. As a kid, I got into the game. Then, I stopped playing, took a break just because to focus on school. But then maybe like a year or so after Old School came out, one of my friends told me about this game. So I checked it. There was an old school version of it. I checked it out. And then, just did my thing, played for like a few years. And eventually, I think the first time I started kind of streaming was when we were doing me and like sales group doing like the TOB speedruns and back in like 2019, trying to get like the really fast times and such. That's I think the first time I started streaming. It's also around the time I built a PC because my laptop couldn't really handle it. And yeah, that's where it all began. We were just a small time streamer for a while. I started doing solo TOB. But after that, it was doing for like a long time. When I made my kind of debut to streaming, and then over time, just kind of did my thing, did random challenges, random speed runs. Just tried to always do interesting things on stream. And I think the first time I started to see some major traction with like the community kind of finding out who I am was when I made the Kirby-skip. Um,
Yes.
because yeah, it's funny because I remember when I made it, it at first it seemed like it wasn't, it's just like a cool little thing I tweeted, and it didn't seem like it got too much traction. And then suddenly, a few months later, I realized like a bunch of people are doing it. They're calling it the Kirby-skip. I'm like, when did this happen? And, and yeah, and then like eventually I made the Kirby-skip guide, and I just remember like suddenly after the whole Kirby-skip notoriety, I started seeing like average more like 20 to 30 viewers on Twitch, which for me was pretty big to be reaching those numbers at the time
Hmm.
compared to what I had before. So that's definitely when it all started to kind of like pick up, I would say.
What
And
what is the Kirby-skip for those that don't know?
so the Kirby-skip is basically a way during Chambers of Xeric, Raids 1, when you get to a rope room with NPCs that attack you all across the rope. In a CM, normally it'd be impossible just to cross and not die unless you have teammates to like tag them. But in a solo, essentially you skip the rope room. You do the rope skip by just going on like 1 HP, and you gen an HP on the cross. You do like a redemption and you do a phoenix on the way back. Like you basically tank a million damage going back and forth without dying and save like 40 seconds. So it's really cool.
How did that even come to be? Like, did you think, or was there already sort of a rope skip at that time, or did you literally just invent it? Because I honestly don't know the history of it all.
So the history of it, at the time in normal solos, you could just, cross in like full armadillo and like a bulwark and like a p-neck and hope for the best.
Yep.
And it would work,
Literally hope for the best.
yeah, it'd work, decent amount of time. But in a CM, there was no way. You were dead.
Yeah.
Um, I think there may have been potentially a double Phoenix skip in CM, but it was a very high death rate or something. I don't know. It was all right. Not the best. It was like maybe like a 10% death rate or something, or
Mm.
15, who knows. But essentially it all started about when I saw a clip of Port Khazard. He was doing some. He did like because back when the Kirby was a bit different. He did like a little stall with Iron Protection Prayer. And I saw a clip where Port Khazard he does this, and then he has like lobster and trout, like all these random foods in his inventory, and he's eating very specific kinds of food to like stay on the other side for like 10 seconds to slowly pick up a crystal and then make his way back. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, what if we found a way to make this consistent and only use like, minimal inventory slots? And I basically spent like 2 hours of chat just kind of theory crafting. I was actually surprised how many people were watching at the time. I guess people were interested in it. I had no idea at the time this would lead to something so big.
Yeah.
And I was actually getting pretty close at one point to giving up. But then someone got me another scout that was like rope first, so I could bring more Phoenix into the raid. And when we were really close to giving up, we finally figured out the combination of actions to do to invent the Kirby-skip. And then I tweeted it, and yeah, just over time became popular. And that's how it all started.
That is so crazy. That skip, by the way, is just insane. Also, isn't there like 3 different variations being at 1 to 3 HP?
Yeah, but basically there's like slight differences in what you do. Also, I should mention, so the current skip is the Kirby-skip 2.0, which, because like a year later they patched stalls to like fix some stuff that happens like in other places in the game, but by pure chance it also broke the Kirby-skip. And after they did that, a week later, it was kind of funny. I was in like a Cold Ones chat, and Zuck's Goat was asking me, like, there's a Twitch person, Zuck's Goat, asked me, what are the odds of surviving like the 2 Phoenix skip in the CM? So because of that, I went to do some simulations, and while I was doing the simulations, I was thinking of like how could I improve the 2 Phoenix skip? And while doing that, I just kind of realized, the idea of purple sweeting on a crossback came to mind, and like doing the redemption on the HP region on the first cross instead of the second cross came to mind, and like I realized this might work to make a new Kirby-skip, and that's when I just came up with Kirby-skip 2.0, and then I just stayed up all night and made the guide for it that day, and so that's how that one came to be. But yeah, back to the 1-2 HP thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically like um, when you're crossing, your HP affects the maximum damage the mages and the rangers can do to you. So, and if you bring a locator orb, you can always be 1 HP for the easiest skip. But it's not efficient. It's better just being purple sweets. And when you basically after you do Vespia, you overload down after brewing and purple sweeting. And because purple sweets heal randomly between 1 to 3, you're going to end up either around 1, 2, or 3 HP. So you need to have a method for each.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically 1 HP is the easiest. You just go low defense. 2 HP, you go high defense. And then 3 HP, you go low defense, but you drink a brew on the way to the crystal. And it based on the simulations, those give you a really low, like 1-200 death rate. So yeah.
Okay, so there's definitely people listening to this right now that have no idea what you're talking about, but they are probably intrigued. Just like how, I just want to know because I obviously when I was doing my CMs, I was doing it for the Grandmaster things. I obviously was watching your guide. The skips seemed super gigabrain. You know when you see anything for the first time in RuneScape that's like different and you're like, what is going, like how is this even
Yeah.
pulled off? Still to this day,
Yeah.
I still don't fully understand it, but I understand somewhat what's going on and just how stalls are and how when they shoot out, their hits are being calculated when they're actually casting it. Anyway, like how I just wonder, like, did you think this would work? Did you think the Kirby-skip would work initially, or was it all just like praying, just like maybe there's something here, or did you have a feeling like there is a way to skip this?
It was mostly just praying. Like I felt like surely there's gotta be something, but I mean, like I said, after like 2 hours, I was getting very, very close to giving up and thinking maybe there's now a way. Because at the time, my understanding of stalls and like Phoenix necklaces and PID and ticks and all that, it wasn't as good as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like testing stuff and actually kind of learning while doing it. And Chad was giving me suggestions while I'm just like using the knowledge I have to determine what are good versus bad suggestions, like what can actually work, what can't. And yeah, it got to a point I'm just kind of praying I can find something, but I had no way of knowing if this would actually turn into anything the
If
whole time.
if there was anything different with the tightrope room, would it work? Like if the crystal was one more tile away, would it even be possible to do it? Hardly, or
No, like
is it
it's
just
actually
yeah?
it's actually tick perfect the way it is because it's like as you make it back from the crystal to the thing, it's like the NPCs happen to start attacking you right as you enter the stall of crossing the rope, and as you leave, they fire one last time as you're leaving, and that one's also like that barrage of hits also gets clumped into that stall that gets nulled by the PNEC. So if even if a rope was one tick longer to cross, if like the crystal was one tick further away, like anything, it would not work, which is just crazy.
That is
How
so.
perfect.
It just remind like, dude, Chambers is honestly this happy mistake. There are so many things in there that are just happy mistakes, and somehow it just works out. Like,
Yeah, like 4 to 1 ohm and the rope skip.
yeah, it's just nuts. I mean, even like I don't know. I feel like Chambers has just been messed around with so much, I guess, that inevitably these things would come out with like the Galaxy Brain players in the community. Like people are going to find ways to get around things. I just find it absolutely brilliant. Now, this is something I wanted to ask because obviously Chambers of Zarek was the first attempt at a raid and they did a great job. I mean, obviously people love Chambers. And then TOB came out, which was like an enhanced, well, they, you know, their intention was to make an enhanced version of raids, a better version. And then ToA, of course, is the third iteration. ToA feels to me more intuitive to like a normal player. It's just like there's certain mechanics that feel right, that they're very visual. You kind of see what's happening. With Chambers, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like these hidden sort of intuitions you need to know what's going on somewhat. Because like 4-1, there's no possible way anybody like would have just figured that out on their own unless they're like absolutely giga brained, you know. And that's not really the case with ToA necessarily. Although we do have Akka, I guess, as with the butterfly method. So what are your thoughts on ToA? Do you think it has more or less depth than Chambers in particular? Maybe, I guess we can throw in TOB with that as well. And
I guess
yeah. No. I was also gonna just say, like, just in general as well, what are your thoughts on ToA? And yeah, especially when it comes to, like, depth.
Yeah. I would say, I guess in a way, it's got more. It's definitely because, you know, when you think of Chambers, aside from some of the finicky tricks we have, a lot of it's pretty basic, like Thieving Room, just opening a chest over and over. Yeah. I assume you're cutting logs, putting them on a fire. Yeah. Like it's a lot of our rooms in Chambers are definitely very, very basic. But obviously, you know, the rooms that aren't basic, like Ohm and Kirby-skip, and I guess even like kind of with timing on Tecton, definitely a bit more in depth. Whereas I guess if I think of ToA, I mean, the back's pretty straightforward. You just attack and then hide behind rocks. Baba, other than a Red X, which is obviously kind of technical, so I guess it has its own kind of like technical method as well. Because it's pretty. I made the guide for that Red X to help people out with it. I mean, I didn't discover Red X, but I just made the guide to help people out because I saw a lot of people struggled with it. So
that was very helpful, by the way. That was like the biggest help with me getting my 500 because Baba was a bitch.
Yeah. Glad it helped. So yeah, so I guess Baba's got some more in-depth kind of technical stuff, and I think then we got Akka. Obviously, Akka's got a butterfly, very technical and of the precise timing to skip the AOE attack from the shadows and stuff. And obviously, you know, the step back method too, because you can just pray melee and switch prayers, but stepping back saves a lot of HP, and it's a bit of a rhythm to get down to one of those ticks. Definitely a lot. I mean, you know, dodging the end phase of Akka that people love. Yeah, that's a very that's just kind of just be good at the game. I feel like there's not much.
It really also just comes down to just being a little bit patient. I feel like we have had this thing drilled into us playing this game where you can't miss a tick.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes that can be to our own detriment because I just want to get past that come phase as fast as humanly possible. And it's just, sometimes you got to take a step back. Although, I am surprised because for some reason, when you see things that look very random like that whole white phase and there's just so much shit going on, it feels as though maybe it's not random and maybe this is actually, like, there's different layouts. I'm surprised that nobody... And I'm not saying it is random or not random, but like I feel as though somebody would have figured out by now certain tiles to stand on, so you can always guarantee pass Akka like without ever touching anything. Like I'm surprised there's not like certain tiles you stand on, or if there's different variations of the room, there would be different tiles you stand on where you don't even need to look at the balls coming at you. You just step on certain ticks. But I think it is completely random. Is that the case?
I think. I mean, one time I spent a few minutes looking at it, but not nearly long enough to determine much. So I'll have to maybe at one point take a look just to check if there is actually a pattern. That'd be interesting. But I feel like it's probably just random.
Okay. Yeah, because usually things feel like they're random, and then you actually like see it. And it's like, oh, this isn't random. Like this is Jagex's like 20 different phases of where it's going. But I've also heard, but I have heard this. You're gonna have to let me know if this is true or not. This is just a rumor I heard, where the white balls will like they will go to where you're standing. Like some will spawn with the intention to hit where you currently are. Is that the
Oh,
Do you know about that? Or is it truly just everything's random? It doesn't base anything off of your player.
that's my first time hearing it. That would be interesting if it's true, because you could, I guess, a little bit manipulate where we're gonna go. But if that was the case, because the white balls, they can have like a little line. I mean, they pick a direction. I feel like if they were aiming at you, it would look a lot more obvious. Because I feel like some of them would go like way off in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
So
I was wondering if it was like P3 ohm or like head phase ohm, I mean, where like crystals are obviously everywhere randomly, but obviously it looks way more like, okay, obviously there's a crystal falling on me every whatever 4 or 5 or 6 ticks or whatever it is.
yeah,
It's not quite the same with Akka, but I feel like maybe they spawn every few, like one orb will spawn every, 6 or so ticks where you are, and it tries to head toward where you currently were. But I don't really know. I'm just surprised, though, that there isn't like an absolute optimal path for that already. But who knows? Maybe it'll just never come if it's truly random. Just a
yeah,
thought I had.
maybe. I'm definitely gonna look more into my room to see if I can find anything, but so far no luck.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on that final phase? Do you like it? I know there was a definite upset of or an
Mm,
uproar of the player base with that phase in particular in that boss room.
yeah, I will say this, like when the room goes well and like you just dodge it, it feels really good. But there are just, every once in a while you get that one pattern that just feels undodgeable, or like especially if you're playing when servers are kind of bad and you have that much less time to react, it makes it so much harder to do a room because
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's all reaction based, that room. So if you're dealing with like a half tick delay because servers are really bad right now, it's obviously a much less fun. But overall, I mean, I don't know, like I'll have days where it feels like I just every time do a room well and it feels like a fun room. And then some days where I don't know, it goes all wrong. So overall, I don't know, I kind of like it, but I wouldn't mind if I tuned it down like 2%.
Yeah, I think we're all starting to, because I don't really hear people complaining as much anymore. Maybe because people are just tired of complaining about it. But it definitely
Yeah.
does feel a lot better than what it did on like the first couple weeks of release. It just felt awful then, and I think it's just because
Yeah.
everyone is rushing it. What is your favorite room at ToA, or your favorite part?
Favorite part or favorite room?
Yeah, I guess favorite part of a favorite room, or just favorite room in
Yeah.
general. Up to you.
Um, uh, it's hard to say. Like obviously, I feel like Zebek's fun just because you hit so big on Zebek and dodging, all just moving around. Um, solving like the little, it's kind of like a little puzzle, a little boulder thing. Like if you have upset stomach and such, you don't have a lot of time to solve it sometimes. So
Hmm.
you gotta be quick to think. But let me think. Let me go through the rooms one by one. Baba, I mean, I don't think Baba's my favorite. It's just either Red X or play the RNG simulator. Um, we got Kefri. Kefri's all right. I guess it is kind of like trying to be tick perfect and gain all the swarms can be kind of satisfying when you get the most optimal thing on that. Kepri's okay, I guess. What else we got? We got Akka. I mean, barflying is pretty satisfying. I do like the barfly method. I'm glad that's a thing.
Yes.
I do also like that they changed it so that like it does every minute do a special. You can't just AFK barfly the whole fight. I think that's a fair balancing change.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do enjoy bar flying, and like when you do the little DPS skip as well, like the tick perfect trick to skip past, like when don't do enough damage and my shadow does the attack. It's pretty satisfying when you skip over it and get back to the cycle.
Yeah, I've seen that. I haven't mastered it myself, but I've definitely seen it. I'm just like, I'm still at
Yeah,
that intermediate stage where I still make the
yeah,
occasional mistake, but for the most part, I'm getting it down. But yeah.
yeah. I was thinking of making a short like 1 minute guide for it maybe because they changed the tiles that work for it that one time when
Mm,
they broke it for a week, then they fixed it. But when they fixed it, it changed which tiles you use for it. So I was like, okay. Um, but yeah, then there's Warden. Obviously, Warden. There's a lot about Warden. Um, Obelisk. I mean, Obelisk phase is just hope your hits are good.
yeah.
Nothing too special. P2 Warden is actually I mean, it can be it's pretty satisfying. Dodging all the little Obelisk specials and maintain DBS, and then being quick to do your switch, get on the core. definitely a very satisfying part of a fight, I'd say. And then P3 Warden, obviously, when we do with skulls, it kind of feels satisfying to do
Yeah.
with skulls. And then when you have like a good P4 dodge session. But yeah, I'm gonna lean towards just I don't know, Zabak is just kind of fun. Like it's not necessarily the hardest or anything, but it's just like a fun room. You hit big numbers, do some fancy puzzles,
Yeah.
some quick movement.
Yeah, that's
That
kind of like it's like not reinventing the wheel at all. It's just a fun fight, I guess. I feel like people do like Zebak a lot.
yeah. Or something like, Kefri's kind of the opposite, where you just has high defense. You just kind of feel like you're hitting nothing sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So there have been also some talk about the rewards from ToA, mainly Osmumten's Fang, as you've probably heard. People thinking it's too common, too powerful, and just overall, like they think like there's just way too many in the game, and it's gonna plummet in price, and that's affecting other weapons. Do you have any thoughts on Osmumten's Fang?
I was definitely surprised when I found out it was going to be on the like super common section of a rare drop table. Um, I've heard some people mention that maybe the JMods want to make this as like a sort of accessible weapon so we can make more difficult bosses in the future. Which I guess if that's the case, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's more accessible. But I mean, it still feels weird to have such a powerful weapon. Like this could have easily been like a 1 bill weapon like the scythe if it was just
Oh yeah.
rarer.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah, like easily.
I feel like okay, so people have offered, and I've had different takes on this over time. Obviously, my opinions kind of change on it the more information I get. But people have been saying like they should have switched the ward with the Fang and like switch the rarity of those, which I actually do agree with at this point. Um, but I also feel like the Fang could have been on the same plane as the Shadow and just had like two mega rares, like Osmumten's Fang and the Shadow, because let's be honest, Osmumten's Fang like really is. I mean, obviously the
Yeah.
Shadow is just disgusting. That's in like a
Yeah.
completely different field, but yeah, the Fang is definitely up there with mega rare status in my opinion.
Yeah. At the very least, I feel like it could have been like kind of like the scythe with a rapier, where it's in like a not as rare as the scythe, but it's like on like maybe it could have made like a as rare as like a Missouri piece or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like what the estimated rates was like 7 out of 24 for a Fang, but 2 out of 24 for a Missouri piece. I feel like that would have been a reasonable place to put it. So it's kind of like, you still have like the one big hit item, like the how a scythe is like the one mega rare in TOB. You'd have a staff as a mega rare here because maybe it'd be a little too much making because I guess a Fang is really important for progression. It's hard to move on to like 300 and above without the Fang. I
Yeah,
mean, you
maybe like a
can.
4 out of like 20. What is it? Out of 24?
Yeah, I think the wiki estimate was app 24 and it's currently 7. So yeah,
Okay.
4 could be good even.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you're totally right though.
Yeah.
So TOA also introduced invocations, and obviously that has in turn made Raids 3 the most accessible raid ever. And we've seen the pros and potential cons to that. Now, I'm not going to say they're necessarily objectively cons because, that just depends on the player's view of the game and where they want the game to go, I guess, in a way. Now, I will say Raids has notoriously, or I guess maybe that's not the right word, but just been known to be end game content in most games. When you hear the word raid, it's like, okay, this is end game, end gear, and like get your levels to 99 basically before entering. This one feels more like a intermediate sort of raid, mainly because of the invocation system. Anybody can come, which has been awesome. It's getting a lot of people experience getting their feet wet with PVM in general. But do you think that it's like in a good place where, I don't know, do you think like it's okay going forward that raids is accessible to most people, or do you think it should be a little bit more on the prestigious end of like you need the best gear to participate?
Um, I will say I do like the aspect of progression where you can have less invocations and learn the raid. Because I guess I think other MMOs kind of do that, where you have like a raid comes out and it's got like the regular difficulty, even like heroic, mythic, or whatever. I do like you have like a sense of progression, but I guess maybe it would be nice if maybe the different tiers of difficulty could have a bit more of a gap in like how you're being rewarded for doing it. Because at the moment you can do, regular 150 raids, and I think expert 300s are 2.5 times more efficient, but that still means you can like, if you do 2.5 times you know, 2.5 times as much KC, you're pretty much making as much money at that like, but just grinding for a bit longer, you're still getting like insane loot potential. So maybe make it a bit more rewarding to push to those 300s, 400s, 500s, to really like emphasize that having good gear and being skilled at this content is more rewarding. I mean, it's definitely in a place right now where you definitely do feel rewarded pushing from 150, 200, 300, 400, 500. Um, but yeah, it definitely does feel like anyone can kind of do this. People can get into this content sooner than TOB, for example, and even sooner than Chambers in a way if they're willing to do the less invocations. And yeah, it definitely doesn't have that end game feel too much in that regard. Like obviously once you do the 400s it does, but yeah, I think just maybe a bit more of a gap between the lower and the higher stuff to really. Some people have said about locking certain items, like maybe the staff locked behind expert or something,
Hmm.
which hard to say if I agree or disagree with that. But
There's also been people that I've heard this from a couple people actually. They wish that normal mode started at 200 and expert started at 400. So like there's
interesting.
600 total obviously, and like yeah,
Yeah,
entry is from 0 to 200. So I was like, I mean, that would have been absolutely insane on release, I feel like, just
yeah.
because like nobody was gonna do a 400. But like nowadays, it's like that actually would make a bit more sense. But I don't know how you feel about that, and I don't even know how I feel about it. I've just heard it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
As I hear it, it's awkward because it's hard to change once it's already been released to change what raid level counts for what tier. But definitely like doing a 300 now is probably like doing like a 200 or 250 back on release. Like so much has changed,
mm-hmm.
especially with path invocations becoming much more usable because that's a lot of points you get. 50 points from lock for path, and it's barely noticeable compared to kind of how it was before. It was pretty brutal some of the stuff the path stuff was doing. So I could see that maybe updating the expert amount, but yeah, I don't know. I guess there's not necessarily that huge of a reward for just it says you have expert KC instead of normal KC. I don't think there's any like reward gap that happens between like 295 to 300 at the moment. So I guess it would just be like it would just change at what point your expert KC goes up instead of your normal KC.
Yeah,
So I kind of wish there was a bit more of a I don't know a difference. Like you make it to the expert threshold and you gain something extra, whereas it's just
yeah,
like it's just your KC goes up. That's all.
yeah. Okay, here's
Maybe
no, yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I wonder if I would ever consider doing like, because going for like 2K capes and stuff, it'd be interesting if maybe doing like high level raids like expert kind of for multiple KC to work towards the 2K cape faster. Because at the moment you're kind of incentivized just to do, you know, speedrun 300s or something instead of like pushing higher because it's so much faster. So if you want the 2K cape eventually, you're at such a disadvantage doing what's efficient for purples essentially. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that is strange as well. What is your thoughts on like chambers only being able to get those capes through CMs instead of normal chambers? Because yeah, it is strange that TOB and ToA both have it. Like you can just do any sort of version of it as long as it's not entry mode and you're working toward your 2K capes. Do you think they should flip flop how they do chambers, or do you think it's just fine having chambers be a little bit different?
I guess at the time when CMs first came out, I didn't think too much of it, but now that we have TOB and TOA that both do the kill count system how it does, I wouldn't mind if they flip-flopped. I feel like they were kind of trying to like incentivize people to do CMs, like give reasons why you would do CM over normals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what I kind of get the vibe from of adding dust, adding kits, and because I think when CM first came out, it was kind of like maybe not the most popular. I don't know because it's so long and but I mean at this point it's kind of like efficient to do. I feel like for without having to scout, I think it's efficient for your points per hour. So I feel like it's got enough points behind it now that it doesn't need more justification. So I wouldn't mind if they flip flopped and made it so that Chambers was consistent where Chambers KC and CM KC both counted. Because yeah, it's a bit strange, but for TOB and TOA, it's not like that. But obviously, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who've grinded 2K CM and may complain, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Just for consistency's sake and for the future of raids that come out, I really do think they should just change chambers to make it so that, yeah, you can just get your 2K capes through normals as well. But yeah, I do understand how people would be extremely upset with those that have already done the 2000
Yeah.
CMs. But yeah, I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I've always kind of felt when it comes to that mentality of like, I did it, so you have to suffer too. I've kind
Yeah.
of always disagreed with it. Like, even if I did something and it was harder, I'm okay if I'm updating it, making it easier for other people. If like I think the way it is a bit unfairly like difficult of a grind, or like just kind of dragging out.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like people can understand that just for consistency's sake to switch it. It's not like just making it easier to make it easier. It's just like this just feels right. I don't know.
Yeah.
MPS Devil has a topic here. Let me pull this up. So this is actually kind of going with like the TOA and or here, let me just read this real quick. So he asks, what do you think about Jagex saying they're not likely to make another TOB in terms of being only accessible to the very most skilled players? Is the difficulty scaling in TOA right for elite players? I've seen some takes from people like Tasty Life saying otherwise. So this is, again, going on my point of like how you feel about it. And he also, down below, says, example that it's bad at a certain point for basically only artificially increasing difficulty with higher damage, HP, etc., rather than adding new, more challenging mechanics. So I think that was more talking about like the challenge modes or like the hard modes or something. Anyway, yeah, pretty much just like the fact that Jagex is leaning on not ever having a piece of content come out like TOB again, where it's very exclusive.
Um, I'm guessing a lot of it has to do if they want updates. They spent a long time making a raid. They want a lot of players to interact with the content for it to be seen as like a success for the hours put into making it. But I mean, it was definitely a very cool experience where TOB was only so many people could complete it, and like the first completions was took like days.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely like a cool feeling that would be nice to experience again. But I mean, in the long run, like you look at TOB now, it's just like for a lot of people, it's kind of a pain to find a team and get into raids and stuff to doing it. So, well, I think for the on release experience, it was really cool. In the long run, it does kind of turn into a bit of a problem. Personally, I feel like I wonder if I would ever consider doing maybe like they release a raid that's kind of like TOB where it's like super difficult, super elite on release, but then maybe after like a month or something of people grinding it, people doing it, there's like they give some low reason like after all this grinding, they've kind of like opened up the raid more now, and like people can go into like a lower difficulty version or like use invocations to go easier. Like I don't know, like something where it's like when it first comes out, it's difficult. The first completion's like a challenge. I feel like other MMOs have done that a lot. Where, like the first completion of a raid is like a big deal or something, or like at a certain difficulty. But something like that, where maybe on release we get the nice hype of like the first month is like super difficult. People are rushing to get those first completions and like first high level completions, and then kind of open it up. Because I think the thing of TOB, it's only really on release where it's like a really cool thing. People
Yeah.
watching the Twitch streams, so many people watching like Wooks' team trying to get a completion. Like that was hype, but then you have a problem where post-release TOB where just it's a pain finding a team. So I think doing that like super super crazy restricted in the first month, and then release it to have like invocations or like a system where it's more inclusive, everyone can join. I'd be okay with a system like that. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I actually think that would have been really cool if TOA came out with yeah, like what you said, the first month
Yeah.
is you can only do 300 pluses potentially,
Yeah.
and then it just lowers down like the next month or something down to entry mode. Yeah, I think that would keep the hype and sort of keep the integrity, although it would be still upsetting for players that just want to mess with it on release. And I feel like as a business
Yeah.
move, maybe that's I don't know. That's kind of hard to say because it builds the hype around it, of course, but you're
Yeah,
also locking players out. So yeah, there's a lot of factors to that.
I mean, yeah, 'cause I mean, like obviously, but the hype on like Twitch and social media of just if it gets the same thing TOB had, where people try and get the first clears, has so many people watching, that could be good for them. And I guess they can let the players know, give it a month and you can join too. But yeah, it's definitely people being turned away, not being able to play at their levels could be an issue.
So here's one thing I want to ask about Inferno. So Inferno has always sort of been known as the end game for most players. Getting their Infernal Cape is like the best achievement you can get. Now, obviously, there's more things out there. Fang Kit, other flexes, Zuck Helm, of course. But Infernal Cape has always been like the main one. And it's really a cool flex to get, mainly because you can't really practice. Like, there is no entry mode Inferno. It's like go in there and just get your butt kicked basically the entire
Yeah.
time and have to reset an hour or more if you're SGS milking like most players do. But like I wonder, is it appropriate for more content to come out like Inferno? I know they're teasing Tactical Trials, which is going to be Blue Inferno. I think that's going to be more wave-based and endless, potentially. I think there's going to be that Enrage system where you just can push further if you want to and risk everything. I do wonder, though, because it's hard to say. Inferno's a great piece of content, but it definitely was pretty exclusive because, obviously, like, only a few people got it on release, and yeah, it just continued to be sort of like a benchmark of like, okay, you're good at the game now, and it was something that people could push for. Now, raids, I understand somewhat, like, okay, maybe it should be a bit more accessible, but do you think it's appropriate to come out with more things like Inferno, where it truly is like not everyone can do this?
I think so. Like, I know it is a content that only so many people can interact with, but I think having that content where you see another player wearing this item or something, and you're like, oh my God, you got that item, you're a legend. Like, it's something to like dream of getting. Like, it gives like players long-term goals and just I feel like it's just a necessary thing they need to do, like a necessary sacrifice, even though, a lot of people can't interact with the content after all those hours they spent developing it. The fact that it's in the game, it's like this niche little thing, and you can kind of like look up to the players that have done it and use it as like motivation to get better at the game, to be able to one day do it yourself. I feel like it's a really important thing. Like it's something I've really, really always loved in like games, having like a super kind of difficult, hard to complete thing that, maybe not everyone's gonna do because it's that difficult. I feel like it's really cool, and I feel like it adds an aspect to the game that, you know, it's just the motivation gives our players seeing it and hoping one day they can do it. I feel like it's if everything is just easy to get, then you get everything and you have nothing else to look forward to doing, I guess. Nothing to challenge yourself other than like self-imposed
Yeah.
challenges and stuff. So
Yeah, combat achievements kind of felt like that. It was something extra
mhm.
to go for, and it definitely is a flex. It's obviously harder than getting one Infernal Cape. And
Yeah.
they're also proposing new rewards, and I'm just going to ask, did you see what they're proposing for those?
Yeah, I looked over those. I don't remember all of them, but I mean, they seem pretty good. I feel like they could definitely add more, especially to the GM tier, but I mean, so far, like I like the ones they propose. The Barrows one seems good for Ironman who want to save prayer potions while going on their grind, especially if they don't have a POH, the whole POH teleport system going yet
Mm-hmm.
for the game back for instantly. And the one with a lunar NPC contact spell was interesting. Obviously, I'm sure they're thinking about turtle skipping to make turtle skipping more efficient. But it's also going to affect like rune crafting if you're doing lavas for fixing your pouches. But I was kind of thinking it'd be cool if they gave us, I don't know what tier this to go in or multiple tiers, but a reward to give like a preferred, like instead of a block list, a preferred list, and you can add an NPC, a Slayer monster, to a preferred as a preferred task, and it'll double the weighting. Because that
Ooh.
like the NPC contact, that's gonna save you like maybe a minute per hour of turtle skipping. But if you could do a double weighting, that cuts your turtle skipping in half. That's huge,
Yes.
and
Yes.
especially That I think would be amazing, and especially for people who aren't turtle skipping. Like, good luck ever getting a task you want.
O-
So,
Okay, what about this? What about this? Okay, I'm thinking
yep.
because mainly for most people, they're thinking preferred tasks. They want their Zuck tasks, but those preferred tasks could be used for any tasks. Like for me, I would love to just get double boss tasks in general. Just
Oh yeah.
so, what if master you get one preferred unlock, so you can put one in there, and then with grandmaster you get two. Or I was thinking elite would give one, but I don't know if that's like too lenient on just going for elite just to get your double Zuck task. But then again, no, actually maybe it could work where elite you get one, master you get two, and grandmaster you get three. And you can just choose to double, three different tasks that you like. Uh, yeah, what do you think about that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be good because also, it's definitely a bit strategic in a sense. You don't always want to have, a block list. You always want to max out, but with a preferred list, if you're only going for one thing, you only turn one on. So it's not even like having like two or three is even like that much more OP because if you're after just one thing, you would only turn it on for one monster, so you're not getting extra unnecessary things.
mm-hmm.
So it just gives it's but people who are going for multiple things at once here, which I think so I think it's fair to give like I think like, one for elite, two for master, three for grandmaster could definitely. I mean, it could also be potentially instead of being double, it could be 50% at lower tiers or something. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah,
I could see it starting around the elite tier and going to GM. That could be either elite or master. Definitely, one of those two would definitely be the first one. I think.
yeah, that's actually a brilliant idea though, because I already have thought of like just double the Tazar tasks, like just have that as one of the unlocks for Grandmaster or whatever. But yeah, just having a preferred list sounds really cool, and
Yeah,
it goes beyond just Inferno Andes, so
yeah.
that's cool.
Because I feel like currently the GM Slayer helmet, the most of a benefit is just for Inferno Andes. You get the triple Zuck task. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just for Inferno Andes. I mean, I guess it is a Zuck helmet, but still.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing they were offering is double thrall time,
Mm.
um, which I did here. Now I've gotten two different forms of either complaints or just like praise, I guess, in a way. Like some people think it's too OP, and then some people don't think it's OP enough, or people think it's like really pointless in a way. What are your thoughts on the double thrall duration?
Um, I don't think it's too OP. I guess like, when you get used to having the game be a certain way, any changes can maybe feel a little OP potentially, but places to be useful. Obviously at Ulm, but Mage Brawl doesn't always last the whole Mage hand. I mean, unless you have a Tumikin. Uh, Same for Melee Brawl, especially if you're doing CMs. So it'd be nice not having to resummon mid kill, especially because for a Mage hand. If you have to resummon the Thrall, there's a chance that Ulm, if you splash, might be able to look and hit you. But so that's one of the places where it's more than just a quality of life. It actually kind of potentially saves you taking some damage by having the Thrall last a little bit longer. And obviously, big thing is for Inferno and Fight Cave speedruns if you're like at the top level and you're using the Thrall tech. But having it last twice as long, you're saving a whole bunch of prayer points. But I do also know that I think, especially at least for Fight Caves, there's a lot of like resummoning the Thrall. But obviously, it burns through your prayer points and your supplies very quickly. But so I've definitely thought about the idea of instead of doubling how long the thralls last, we could also cut the prayer cost in half, which could be helpful for those kind
Yes.
of those like top end sort of like speedrunners or like even just whatever content you're doing where you need to resummon the thrall, so a 2 minute thrall timer isn't even helpful in that
Yeah.
situation because you have to resummon it. And also another problem with a 2 minute thrall, if you summon that thrall right before the Akka final phase, have fun of 2 minutes of your
Oh,
thrall
so
ruining
annoying.
your life.
You literally have to summon a melee thrall in there, and then like you have to deal with that guy as well. But it's better than the major just going
Yeah,
like off
yeah.
just on everything. It's so tilting. Yeah, there should
I mean,
literally be a turn off. Like there should be a right click on your thrall, say disable, just to get rid of
yeah.
it. That should be a thing.
Imagine if there was a tile that's like a safe spot for Akka, you could just summon a melee thrall and AFK and let the melee thrall kill Akka. If you're really desperate,
True.
just spend like 10
True.
minutes.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
my goodness.
Um. Okay. So I think that's a brilliant idea. I think maybe making it three prayer points instead. I was also thinking, now this just spawned in my mind, so you're gonna have to let me know if it's busted or not.
Yeah.
What if they made it so your thralls can no longer hit zeros? Is that
Oh.
like, because I'm not gonna lie, the most tilting thing is when a monster is at one HP and you just hit it 1 HP and then the thrall comes in and hits a
Yeah.
0. Like, come
Yeah.
on, dude. Like, just
Oh my
die. Like,
goodness.
I feel like doing these things to thralls is already a bit arbitrary. Like, why? Like, why are we even affecting thralls? But at the same time,
Mhm.
that they're on, like, that just the fact that they're in the discussion, I feel like if we're really looking for quality of life, get rid of the zeros. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's honestly not even that OP. Like the average Thrall hit at the moment is a 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of a 0, the average Thrall hit's a 2. So I guess it's like a 33% increase. But I don't know, average going from 1.5 to 2 doesn't feel like that big of a deal. I guess for some speedruns it could make a difference, but it's
Yeah.
not like it's not huge. I don't say, but obviously I guess it does feel different than just for more quality of life options versus like a actually like a DPS upgrade. But I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah.
Yeah. It's just okay. The other thing I have a problem with is NPC contact. I'm sorry, but at elite tier, that should just be fixed entirely. Like, it shouldn't even have these weird different durations per thing. Not even elite. I feel like just fix NPC contact in general for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like, why is it even on a combat achievement? That's what I'm wondering. It's just so strange. It's like, this is clearly an annoyance. Just get rid of it already.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they just did that. It's strange how long it's such a long spell they use so much.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
I was also, this kind of came up in some of my streams, but we talked about how like it'd be nice if they also improved spellbook swap because it's like spellbook
Yes.
swap, back in the day it just had some niche uses, but now people are actively using it for combat.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with a 4 tick delay, it causes a lot of issues. Like if anyone's been watching me going for a Grossest Guardians world record, you see how you have to really find the right timing and placement to use it with a 4 tick delay. It's pretty brutal. So I wouldn't mind like either changing that or adding a combat achievement reward. 'Cause, I mean, this is literally just for combat spellbook swap
Yep.
of like it's now not so long of
Just
an
make it
animation spell.
instant. Just like click done. Like, I feel like that would be cool. You could still have the book animation or whatever, but don't let it interrupt anything.
Yeah,
I think that would
because
be pretty cool.
yeah, either that or even like a 1 or 2 tick delay. Because stuff like ice demon fire surging is like I think you can't even like do it every 4 ticks or something. So like ice demon, you basically turn to a 5 tick weapon if you bring your like I don't know, they literally even just reducing it to like a 1 or 2 tick stall would make such a difference for being a viable strat.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe they don't want the meta of like now you can just be on Lunars and use spellbook swap to cast fire surge every single tick. Well, I mean, harm is dead content anyways. Might as well revive it a little. Why
I
not?
know. I think. What do you think they could do, by the way, with Nightmare? That's another big thing that's been on the community's mind. Is Nightmare is currently under 3
Hmm.
mil GP per hour, grinding Fasanis efficiently, and their armor. The only thing that's really good now, I guess Inquisitors is still barely holding on to a thread of hope, and
Yeah.
Mace is obviously good at a few places, very few. But
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think about Nightmare? What could they do?
Um. Well, well, how many? Because I feel like back in the day, I think a lot came into a game from like the gold farmers and such. At this point, I feel like not a lot of people are doing Nightmare anymore. Obviously, if they give more of a use to Inquisitor and Mace, that'll help. But I think it's kind of inevitable. But you need to really get those GE taxes just to remove a lot. Like if it truly is like no more gold farmers and just doing Nightmare that much, and just people themselves aren't doing Nightmare much. There shouldn't be too much more coming into the game. I feel like there's too much supply of Nightmare items for how little use they have. So a combination of you know GE tax to maybe cut out remove some of those from the game and I don't know, it needs to have some sort of a use. Like maybe Inquisitor armor could remove the negative stats because it's like no armor melee armor gives like these negative stats, but kind of like put it in a bad spot. But even then, I guess Inquisitor would probably still only be useful in the places it's already useful. So I guess I wouldn't really change it that much as I think about it.
I
But I mean, oh
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I asked Lake about this and I've asked Rostman, so I'm gonna ask you. What do you think about full Inquisitors giving the ability to guarantee a Dragon Warhammer spec?
Oh, Honestly,
must be full Inquisitors. Now, I was already thinking, because I feel like this is all like going to be a question from people, is like, what about Slayer Helm, and the rest is full Inquisitors. I was thinking, what if, like, you know how shamans have their Shazian armor helmet attached to the Slayer helmet, so you still get the effect of it? I was thinking
yeah.
there could be a way to sort of combine an Inquisitor's Great Helm with the Slayer helmet, not give it any extra stats, but just treat it as part of the Inquisitor's set, so you can guarantee your hammers on task as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Honestly, that I wouldn't mind. Like that, 'cause, the biggest use for Inquisitors at the moment is literally just to have hammers land.
Yeah.
That's like the main reason you use
Yeah,
it. Because you
literally.
don't really use the mace anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
Like how good the Fang is. So honestly, that could be big. If they did that, that could bring it back to like either guarantee it or at least like double or triple of a chance of it hitting or something.
I just feel like guaranteed, not necessarily a guaranteed number splat. I feel like you could still miss, or like still roll a miss, but it would still give the effect of the damage, or sorry, like the defense reduction.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Like
that would be fair. Just hit a 0, but because you spec'd with it, it did the defense reduction regardless.
like maybe have the effect that it gives you a minimum hit of 1 on any special attack. I don't know. But yeah, to just make it if a hammer just like guarantees hits a 1 or
Yeah, that would be fair as well.
yeah, and then it gets the effect. Yeah, honestly, that'd be I do wonder if it would be considered well,
I don't even
'cause
think
I
it's
mean,
broken, genuinely. I think it's just pure quality of life, and it gives the
yeah.
Inquisitor set like a true use. Like, oh, and I think because you know how, well, at least this, I guess it affects everyone, but mostly Ironman. When you go into Corp and you're trying to hammer him down, and it takes like 8 different
Yeah.
times teleporting back in, like, that is just not good gameplay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like as I think about it, the two places is probably the most, powerful in would be Tecton and Corp. And
Yep,
I feel like neither of those are fun being a reset fest. Nobody likes that.
exactly.
So honestly, it's actually not that bad. That's definitely yeah, something like either guaranteed hit or like a multiplied chance of hitting. I'm for that. That actually I think would help a lot because that makes a huge difference. That suddenly bringing your full Inquisitor to certain places just becomes like a huge, huge deal to do
Yep.
to get that.
And
That could eas
not only does it increase the price naturally of full Inquisitors, it'll also increase the price of the Dragon Warhammer. Because I feel like a lot of people are kind of switching over to the BGS where you need to do defense reduction because people just,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, the hammer's just not as good. But now that you have the combination of full Inquisitors and a hammer guaranteeing at anywhere the defense reduction, that would be poggers. Like,
That'd be interesting for like ToA because then you can have one person bring a full Inquisitor set for a guaranteed hammer spec at each boss
yep.
and no one else brings it. That'd be interesting. Yeah, honestly, I'm for this idea. I never heard this suggestion before, but that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I think that alone could kind of like put Inquisitors back on the table of like, okay, I want to grind this out. Because there's a lot of people, and again, it kind of goes with Ironman skipping Nightmare entirely because it's literally useless,
Yeah.
like for the most part. So this would give a little bit back.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't believe I never heard this idea before. I feel like that'd be so good.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that. That's just got to be in the game at this point. So, do you
Yeah.
have any other suggestions for combat achievement rewards? I will just bring up the one that I was thinking, which is
Yeah.
Gommel's Hilt adding an additional teleport, which would teleport you to the DK's layer. Because for some reason we're
Interesting.
still almost a
Yeah.
decade later still running through that cave, which is fine, I guess. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I just feel like DK's is such like it's such like old content. Like, why not? Just
Yeah.
like Grandmaster, give us unlimited tellies. I think it was Elite. I had posted this on Twitter too. I don't know if you saw, but 1 telly for Elite, 3 for Master, and unlimited for Grandmaster.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. There's some nostalgia of going through the caves like we did when we were younger, but honestly, it's such old content, so I don't, it's so outdated at this point. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it just being a little bit easier to get there.
And the main thing, okay, so I've heard a few things like people are like, well, now it's just going to become like a POH Ornate pool meta. You know, you're just going to go and teleport back and forth. But like, you're already being limited by the spawn times, like they spawn so slowly, and I feel like you can already stay there indefinitely anyway. So the
Yeah.
POH method, I mean, even though people, yeah, sure, you can use it, it's like not even that big of a deal. It's just like,
Yeah, like
okay, go back and restore your spec to go spec on Prime, I
yeah.
guess, or like, what's the point? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
guess
like
it's
it's
just
fair.
nice for I guess for like it'd be nice for keeping your spot. If you want to, instead of, when you go bank, you come back, your spot's gone, you have to hop like 20 times because so many people are doing the like, so many like mid-level players are doing it. I don't know if it's still like that. I know back in the day, it was kind of hard to find a free world. I guess not anymore because you have like the normal one, the Slayer only one. Yeah, so I guess now it's not as big of a deal.
Do you have any ideas for other rewards? Like, have you been thinking of things that you would like to see come from combat achievements?
I had a few ideas on stream. I'm trying to remember, but like there's like the obvious one of like more magic cape swaps, but obviously if they made spellbook swap more convenient, wouldn't be as big of a deal. But I feel like being limited to 5 swaps per day is kind of a pain for you know when you're at the end game and you're going for certain sort of speed runs where the magic cape spellbook swap is very important. It's a shame to be kind of like time locked. You get 5 attempts a day at this speed run, and you gotta wait till tomorrow to try again. So I think that'd be nice.
So like what if like Master gave 10 teleport swaps and like Grandmaster gave like 25 or something?
Yeah, I thought that'd be good.
Or just
'Cause
unlimited at that point, cuz why not? Like is it
yeah,
busted to have unlimited like genuinely? Like I feel like that's
I,
fine.
I know people have concerns over PvP, but I feel like they could maybe make it so that PvP you only ever have 5 swaps and have it just be separate from PvM. And I feel like that would solve the issue. Like if you're in a PvP world or in the wilderness, just have a swap count
True.
towards the PvP count and you're good.
True. They could just do
Um,
that.
but yeah, I think that's the only place that's really broken.
So
And
just
then that solves it.
yeah, Grandmaster could just have unlimited. Dude, honestly, if it was just unlimited, I feel like most things that have daily caps are just annoyances at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just like, come on.
Yeah, nobody wants the daily escape.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
Uh,
yeah, I bet.
any other
Oh, sorry.
things?
This is one a lot of people. This is not even my idea. Just, I see people say this in chat all the time. But to make it so, the Book of the Dead, either don't need it for Thralls or be able to like put it in your room pouch or something. I've seen
Yes.
those two suggested.
Just like morph it into your rune pouch. Just morph the power into it. You know,
Yeah,
that'd be
so
dope.
that could be nice. I had some other suggestions.
Ooh,
I remember
ooh,
from
ooh,
stream, but I can't
ooh.
remember them right now.
Sorry, I have
Oh,
to include this.
yeah.
I know this wouldn't help with Inferno, but
Mhm.
you know how they're gonna be combining the Avernic with Gommel's Hilt?
Oh yeah.
What if you could just what if at Elite or whatever tier you want, the Book of the Dead also just becomes like that effect
Ooh,
comes into the hilt? Because you're gonna bring your Avernic at most places anyway where you're using Thralls, I think
true.
except for Inferno. I don't think you even bring an Avernic there.
No, not there.
Yeah, you bring Scythe. But yeah, I guess that's I don't know. That would upset a few people that are Inferno Andes, but like other than that, at least it would thematically fit that the hilt is the thing that's acting as the Book of the Dead. But then
That
again, it
would
could
make
come from
sense.
the rune pouch, I guess.
True. Yeah, I guess either way, would be nice to. I feel like we're getting to these metas with like we're bringing so many different runes, so many different switches. It's getting very crazy for like inventory space. So
Yes, it is.
mhm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like the ideas. Is it so I know the original premise of combat achievement rewards was to not give much. It's mainly just a flex. Do you think it's cool that I mean I personally think Jagex is making all this because they realize, "Oh, we worked so long on combat achievements and now the player base is kind of ignoring it entirely, or at least some people aren't really doing it." So I feel like they're kind of changing that and being like, "Okay, we actually do want to give some rewards." Is it appropriate? Or because I definitely have heard the counter argument saying combat achievements should still not give anything.
I personally feel like it's appropriate. I feel like originally they did have more rewards proposed, but then when we pulled the combat achievements, people didn't want them. Um, But I feel like it's like the same as the thing we said earlier with like having content that, like the Inferno and making content like that where even if not everyone can do the content at the moment, it gives you something to look forward to, like a reachable goal, and it gives you good rewards. Like you see somebody that has that, you look up to it. You progress your account by doing stuff not everyone else can do. Like, because if you could just having all the useful stuff, just be like, oh, just grind GP, you can buy your rewards, and then you're good to go. I don't know. It's nice to have stuff you have to earn by doing like a skillful challenge, and then now you have this benefit to your account for doing that, like like getting the barrel gloves, getting the Inferno cape, etc.
Yep.
So I feel like it's fair to add more rewards to it, make it more like you're getting something out of this, not just like a fancy helmet. The fancy helmet's nice,
Yeah.
so I like it.
I really hope the hilt looks like the current Gommel's hilt 6 with the Avernic, so it's like a golden sort of Avernic. We'll see what it looks like. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it'll look really badass though. I'm excited.
yeah, I'm sure. They usually get the graphics pretty good, and if they don't, people
We
complain and they
make
fix
yeah,
it.
we make it known.
Yeah.
Zout asks if you could suggest one piece of content all new players should aim to interact with, what would it be?
Huh. That's an interesting question. Let me think. All new players like just enter the game like level 10 or something?
I I don't even know. I guess you can decide that for yourself. I
I mean,
let
I guess.
I guess let's aim it towards like players in general. Just
Okay.
not necessarily new players, just players of all types. I mean, I would say Inferno, but
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
guess
yeah, that's like the common answer.
I guess if we're okay with like more mid to high level players, then you have more than just like a maple short bow. Uh, yeah, definitely give Inferno a try. Like it seems difficult, but the sense of progression you get as you improve, make it further. Obviously, I know when you first begin, it's a bit of a toll mentally to the challenge, but I think a lot of people overestimate how difficult the Inferno is. Like they make it seem like this impossible thing, but if you go for it, you can be surprised how far you get, and then it feels so good when you get it. So that's definitely one I would say for sure. Just give it a go at least. And just like combat achievements in general as well. I feel like it's so fun to gain all those achievements done, and you have your own tiers you can work towards.
Yes.
Definitely a lot of progression you can do. So I would
Yeah.
say those two things.
I would say for me, yeah, combat achievements totally a good piece. I think when it first came out, my original plan was to just go for elite, and then it's like that
Hmm.
urge started kicking in to just be like, all right, I gotta go get grandmaster. But yeah,
Yeah.
of people pretty much of all experience in this game should definitely try out combat achievements. Go like work toward like hard potentially, like make that like your first goal, like complete the easies, but like see your goal as like completing hards because I feel like most people could get that as long as you're like mid game or higher. And
Yeah.
then just of course like see that vision of eventually getting grandmaster because as long as you see it, like I don't know, as long as you put it into your like goals, you'll go for it, or you'll just have that sort of urge later on when it is time to go for it Because if you put it out of your mind, like I'll never go for that, that's too hard. It's just like limiting. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I think people can really be surprised at what they can accomplish because I mean, even for me, whenever I go for like a very difficult challenge, like, when I first like, when Wooks did the zero prayer six jazz, I tried to, copy the method and do it myself. And, I first start out, it just feels impossible. It's so difficult. I'm like, making progress, getting like one tick further into the method before dying each time. Because it was like basically like what? It was like a fifth, like, the first 30 seconds is all tick perfect actions to set it all up into where so just for anyone who hasn't seen it, but six jads, zero prayers, like you have six jads on you at the same time, and you have to basically run under them and do special tickets to get them all attacking at the same time, and then you can kill them with no prayer, no overheads, by just eating every time they hit you. And to me, it felt impossible to begin with, and the progress was so slow. Just so many attempts just to get 1 second further into a method, and but I just if I keep going, I'll improve, I'll get it, and then after a couple days, a few days, I finally beat it, and that's how it is for me always with challenges, and I feel like it's the same for people trying to progress, mid-tier players trying to just progress, get better and better, stuff will seem impossible, but if you just go for it, it starts to feel more doable.
Yep, that was the same thing with 500 TOAs. That's literally been the same thing with every piece of content I've almost ever interacted with that's challenging. Inferno felt the same. I'll never get this. You put yourself in there, you get it. Zuckhelm, I thought this is impossible, and I got it. 500 TOA felt impossible. You just but you have to just take that leap and just go into it and fail a bunch. Like, you just have to. That's the process. But yeah, words of wisdom.
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay, so this topic by Karma, he's asking, will you ever go for solo CM world record? And along that, I also want to extend the question and just kind of talk about your world records in general. How many world records do you hold currently on just bosses in general?
At the moment, I have the Zulrah world record, which I've held for, I held it for like a year, and I just beat it, a few weeks ago. Beat my own time, because why not? And then I just got the Grossest Guardians world record a few days ago, and I'm still going for sub 1, because I'm, once again, beating my own record, because I'm not happy with the time. And I think those are only two. I mean, I also have the League's Free Hesperia record, which is unbeatable, because League's Free is over. But, I mean, I think it was also the fastest possible time you could do. I've been meaning to release a video on it, because it was a really cool method, and it did some cool tech to that last tick I saved over Scotty's time. It involved basically PID manipulation. So yeah, you gotta I plan on making a video on that at some point. Well, it's like a year after leagues, and here I am making a video on leagues. What am I doing? But yeah, so yeah, those are my ones I have at the moment. I think I've lost all the others that got me in.
Yeah. First of all, I just gotta say, guys, if you're listening to this, go click on MolGoatKirby's YouTube channel down in the description, because a lot of his videos are very good guides on how to complete certain Grandmaster times. For example, like your Vorkath setup to get that sub, what is it, like
54?
Yeah. That was just such a big help, because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just praying for rubies initially, and then I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I looked up your guide, and it's like, okay, like this is all calculated now. You just follow the steps and it's there. So yeah, if you guys want some great resources on how to get those times, I would strongly encourage you to check out his channel. I gotta say, your Zulrah, that first time you you got the Zulrah world record, that was like the greatest clip I've ever seen ever. It was so good. Like, it's just like pure just happiness and surprise that it all worked out like that.
Like I was going for a 30-second flat time, and just out of nowhere, I skip a T-bow hit. Like, I didn't even consider this a possibility. I kill a T-bow hit early, and I'm like, what just happened? How is it already dead? I'm so confused.
I need to ask about Zulrah. This is something I've been proposing. A lot of people agree with it. But since you're the world record holder, I need to cross it by you. Do you think it's appropriate to lift the damage cap at Zulrah? Right now, whenever you hit above a 50, it rolls a certain thing that makes it like a 47, 48, 49, or 50, I believe. I don't know exactly how it works. Do you think that should just be lifted?
I guess it's tough to say. I'm trying to think, obviously, at the moment, it is kind of interesting that blowpipe does kind of compete with the T-bow, and there is kind of like a history of like the weapon you get from a boss being good at the boss. So it is kind of interesting that the blowpipe can still kind of compete with the T-bow at the boss, but I guess if you lifted it, I guess T-bow would just be a meta for each phase. I don't know.
And Shadow. Well, yeah.
I mean, it's actually a tough, because like T-bow, I think still maxes like probably like 20 hits over a Shadow and Zulrah.
Does it really? Dear
well,
God. Does it hit 7? It's like high 70s, right?
Wait, let me think. T-bow, I think it maxes. Wait, what is Zulrah's mage level? Let me look.
I think it's over 250, right? Or
is it? Let me see. It's 300. So if you were on, okay, well, I know it is on task. So I guess for optics, I was just subtract 15%. But I know on task, I'm pretty sure T-bow maxes an 88.
Dear God. Okay.
So off task,
But like, So what is off task? Like 78? Or like way low?
It's like 77, I think, or something. I could double check on DBS Calc, but it's gonna be around 77.
Okay, so obviously this would totally make Zulrah a lot quicker, and T-bow and Shadow, of course, if you're just like doing casual Zulrah, because I mean, obviously for world record, you'd be doing Tebow and you're just praying for those big hits. But I think for
Yeah,
consistency's sake, off task, you'd still be using Shadow to hit at least the green and
yeah,
red phase. Um,
yeah, definitely.
do, I don't know. Do you think that's fine? Because, like, in my opinion, I'm thinking, like, okay, Zulrah, yeah, we already have gear that can make it. So just camping it's like 42 kills an hour, which is quite good. That's obviously max gear, max strats going really quickly. And this damage cap would probably speed that up to like 48 kills an hour, probably potentially higher. And
Yeah,
PBs will just be out of control. But I still feel like it would be just more fun. And I hate damage caps. I think they're extremely arbitrary. One thing I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they really could just lift the cap without doing anything else. But I have thought of the suggestion of maybe increasing Zulrah's HP a little bit, but I don't want to affect like people that are beginning Zulrah because obviously they're not going to reap the benefits
yeah,
of a Tebow and stuff. But I don't know. I think it's fair to just have super powerful weapons that just absolutely dominate at this point in the game. And it's Zulrah, which is like 7 years old, 7.5 years old.
yeah. I guess it's a tough one. I'm trying to think. When did they initially give the 50 damage cap to Zoro? Did it always have that? When was that put into the game? Was that
That
when they
was
made the
it must
Tebow?
have been like right after Tebow came out.
Okay. Because I guess before then, at least the rubies must have been able to hit above it.
Ooh. I gotta say this as well. One thing they also could do instead of increasing Zulrah's HP is just lowering its mage level a little bit to like
Ooh.
220 or something. So then Tebow's not as good. But I don't know. Like I don't want to be messing around too much with Zulrah. I just hate damage caps.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like. I guess if you remove it is already kind of at a point where you just kind of like you melt Zulrah so badly that once you have max gear, you kind of don't even need to know the phases anymore. You just
You
kind of
really don't.
you already melt it so fast.
Yeah.
So I guess the removal damage cap kind of pushes even more to the point of like you pretty much never see any of his phases.
That's
Uh,
what I want, to be honest. Like just do it at this point. I don't know.
uh,
It would.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. I guess,
Wait. Let me think about this. If you were to hit 88s.
yeah,
Like, and you hit 5 88s. Or wait, no, you only have 4 Tebows and 2 blowpipes, right?
yeah. You can do like a Sang into 4 T-bows or 2 blowups into.
So
I
we're
guess
looking
you
at
could
like
do.
350. We're looking at like 400 damage by the
Yeah,
first phase, potentially, which would be
yep.
very, very rare RNG to get, but still.
Even do a double knife spec into like 120 damage plus 88 times 4. Let me see how much damage is this.
Is it possible to do it in one phase?
Not at the moment, even with like max RNG, but let me see. Oh, that'd be 470. I guess no. Even if you did double knife spec into 4 T-bows, it'd be 476 damage.
Okay, so what you would have to do, I feel like the next hit would have to be a Sea Halley or something like when the phase switches, like just to get it down a tick earlier or something, you know?
Oh,
Just
Vanilla see Hallie, it doesn't work on Zulrah.
what? Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't.
because that I remember because Sea Halley's the only thing that can reach it, but it still like won't let you hit with it.
Yeah,
That's true. That's
it,
so
for some
weird.
reason, if it didn't want it, even though it's like it wouldn't even be that good, but it'll have a potential.
Yeah, shit.
Kind of a random choice, but yeah,
Yeah, so what I guess you'd have to do like the Thrall tech where like you're hit and the Thrall like hits it once and just insta kills it the next phase.
yeah. Basically, whatever you do, because also the problem is your last hit won't land until Zulrah goes
Oh
down, comes
yeah,
back
you're
up.
right. You're right. You're right.
So, because I've looked into this before to see like if it's theoretically possible, and yeah, it gets into that situation where you can only kill it after it comes back up, anyways.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, uh yeah, I mean obviously those odds of getting that would just be absolutely insane, but I feel like going for the world record at that point would just be really fun. Like it'd be kind of fun to
Yeah,
watch in a way.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be. I can see well, and resetting from a T-bow it would be a pain because I think T-bow's 75% accuracy, but like obviously you saw my record run. I hit like a 50 T-bow back to back to back to back at the
Yep.
start,
Yep.
which was insane.
How fast would it be, do you think? Just thinking about if they lifted the damage cap and did nothing else, what would be the fastest time? Because like how many fewer ticks is it to just get the kill immediately after it switches phases and just the next attack, I guess. Like, is that a sub? That is a sub 20, but I don't know. Like,
I feel like
is
I
it a sub
calculated
20?
this once. I feel like the time was like a. I could have sworn it was either like a 21 something or an 18 something. I'm trying to remember. I've done the math on this before.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could literally look at. Wait, on my record, I did four. Was it four knife spec, four blowpipe into Tebow? I'm trying to remember what my own record did. I can reverse engineer the math on this to see. I think
Yeah. How
that's
many
what it was.
ticks is that?
Yeah, let me double check. That's what I did. We did watching back my own video.
I love it.
Um, let's see. We're knife specking. One, two, three, four, then one, two, three. Okay, so yeah, four. So four knife spec, four blow up hits into a T-bow. Obviously, the T-bow's the last hit, so we don't even need to
So you
include
would
the
literally
five.
just delete 16 ticks, right?
Yeah, delete 16 ticks and just start with a T-bow hit. Which would put it at wait, 16 ticks. My brain. That is 9.6 seconds. So 18 seconds, I think.
Jesus.
So yeah, you could have that is crazy.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like, I don't know. I just think it's totally fair. Just get rid of the caps, make Zulrah a little bit more GP per hour, make it just, I don't know. Do you agree with that, or are you just like kind of up in the air? I don't know. I
Um,
just hate damage caps. And they've already gotten rid of it from so many places. Like, Corp used to be one. They got rid of that.
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, if they did get rid of it, I guess the main thing is Bazzola World Record becomes a lot more simple, a lot less optimized stuff.
That's true. That's true.
But obviously, I can't be too biased as the world record holder. But I mean, if they did it, I couldn't complain too much. It'd be, I don't know. I guess depends if they want us to just really skip Zulrah phases even more than we already do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see this. Alistair asks favorite OSRS content and least favorite.
Favorite content and least favorite. Least favorite probably gonna be like rune crafting or mining or something. That's gonna take me a while to get. That's my brick wall 99 right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just discovered MolGoatKirby is not maxed, which is surprising. It just feels like everyone nowadays maxed.
Imagine not being maxed in 2022.
Wait, have you ever maxed ever? Like
Oh
on any
no.
account? Okay.
I
Ooh.
mean, I maxed when I logged into Rosta's alt account. That was pretty good. That's I played on maxed account.
Yeah, you got to get that max gate, man. The thing's busted.
Yeah, I'm planning to try to get it done by next year. Like some because I really need the benefit of a cape is so big. I really gotta get that.
Yep. What's your favorite content?
Favorite content like I'm guessing like a specific piece, not just like oh PVM.
Yeah.
Um, I would say it's a tough shout. Like obviously I've had a lot of fun going for niche records like Zulrah and Gross's Guardians. But overall, I mean, ToA was a lot of fun. That's definitely a top contender. Like, very well designed raid, lots of fun to do, pushing the higher scale raids, making the guides on it. I had a lot of fun with ToA, and just in general, like, a lot of fun boss fights there. And getting a purple at ToA, it just hits different than other purples. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Seeing that purple
Yeah,
just it's good.
yeah. So I'm gonna say it's either ToA or. It's probably like pretty much one of the free raids. I mean, okay, I do like Inferno a lot too, but it's a bit more, Inferno well, I'd say you do it once and you're done, but I've done it like 50 times at this point. Um, yeah, it's a bit more stressful Inferno, that's the thing. It's a bit more stressful, whereas it's a bit more just enjoyable doing this in like ToA. So, it'd be between ToA or Chambers, I think for me. I mean, TOB is close as well, but Chambers was a Kirby-skip, all the theory crafting. It even helps with like coming up with World Scythe, and those kind of like a niche strat, and there's just something like doing 4-to-1 Ulm and like all the fancy Ulm stuff, and I still have to learn Vatumikan stuff. I haven't done any CMs yet with the staff yet,
Mm,
but it's a close call I think between ToA and COX for me.
okay.
Very close call.
What are your thoughts on Hallowed Sepulchre? I want to bring this up
Mm,
mainly because I feel like almost every guest I ever have on the cast just has barely any experience with it. I know you did have world record at one point.
yeah, or I thought I did. It turned out they reset the boards at some point, so I was actually off by a couple ticks.
Okay.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
what are your thoughts on Hallowed Sepulchre in general?
I mean, I like it a lot. Like, I know it's not for everybody, but personally, like, it turned agility into a skill I like because it's like, for me, the big problem with rooftops, I do like AFK skills and I like high effort rewarding skills. But rooftops are not AFK for low effort. Low effort, low reward versus AFK. Like, if you have to click every few seconds, it's not AFK. You can't
Yep.
go away from your keyboard for more than like 2 seconds. So that's why for me, like, even though like if you look at rune crafting, I'll probably end up doing soul runes, even though soul runes versus lava runes is kind of similar to like, the XP gap you get, say doing rooftops versus sepulcher, but doing sepulcher is actually like it's high effort, high reward compared to low effort, but not AFK. Whereas, rune crafting, soul runes are actually AFK, so I enjoy soul runes because I can actually do something else. Um, but anyways, back to sepulcher. I like it a lot. Like it's also, it's pretty good practice for getting better at clicking and your movement in game. Like it's for someone trying to become a better PvMer, it's definitely good to do some sepulcher. Very good practice for like timing your movement and precise pathing and all that, and reacting to stuff. Obviously, there's that one. Don't know if they patched it yet. There's that one bug going around in sepulcher, but we'll hopefully they fix that at some point. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
think they already patched it. The one where you
it actually
just
okay,
are
good.
immortal. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think it's a lot of fun. Like I know a lot of people say they don't like it because it's I think if you're a person who enjoys trying to be kind of tick perfect and like improve and get really good at stuff, and you can get up to like 100k XP per hour when you get really good. Like it feels very rewarding. You have a chance of a rig of endurance, like you can actually make money doing it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I like that like it's skilling that is difficult in the tier of like raids in terms of like the movement you're doing, like the difficulty, is the sort of difficulty you would expect to see in like a raid. So I really like its skilling, but like with PVM level difficulty. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah. I want to see. So, well, okay. I don't really necessarily want to see a hard mode sepulcher. I just want to see another movement based activity, and it doesn't even have to be for XP. Like I don't want it to necessarily outclass sepulcher in every way, but it would be cool to kind of have, I don't know, some sort of Sepulchre 2.0 that is not even themed in, Saradomin or whatever, but just a completely different movement mini game. It would have lower XP per hour, probably even half. Like I'd be okay with that, but higher reward and some flex items. But I want it to be like dramatically more difficult than Sepulchre. Someplace that's like just insane. But the thing I really want is I want it to be fully static, other than like certain flames and arrows and things like that. Like things that can be somewhat randomized is fair, but what I want is when you enter it, it's always the same. Nobody can affect your run, so it'll be like fully instanced, and it would just be one full run. And what I really want to see, I've brought this up before, is like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever played Temple Run. Have you? Like
Is that
iPhones?
old like kind of mobile game?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I may have. Like you're running and trying to like not fall or something.
Yeah. It like Temple Run, and I don't know if you've played Geometry Dash. That's the little square guy that you like touch and it goes with the music. It's a similar thing. Like a
I've
rhythm
seen
game.
videos of people play it, but I've never played it.
Yeah. So I want to see something like that where you're instantly reset to the beginning. And I mean like instantaneously. Like when you mess up, you're boom, back to the beginning, running. Like go again. So something that feels
Ooh.
very fluid, so you're just making mistakes, you keep going back. That's where the addiction sets in for most games, because I've played a lot of Temple Run and I've played a lot of Geometry Dash, and like, dude, you could sit there and literally just be hard locked in for like 6 hours and be having the time of your life, because incredibly addictive, and on top of that, there's no like retry, or do you want to retry, or like, you know, you have to like go reclaim your shit. No, it's just instantly go back in. But I would love to see just one permanent course that's like 5 minutes or something, and anytime you ever make a mistake, you're sent back to the very beginning.
Oh.
So it'd just be like this super intense, super prestigious thing, like, have you completed this? Like, this is just absolutely nuts. Anyway, I want to see something like that that's just like high reward, low XP. Just something people
Yeah.
can go to, and I don't know, that'd be kind of fun, because I love that movement. I love movement in this game, and Sepulchre really showed me a different side of like how engaging things can be.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. And I guess you could, if you don't complete it, you still get XP. So it's just like, but obviously if you do complete it, you get rewarded more.
Yeah.
That could be really interesting. I
Yeah.
also wouldn't mind if they added more like movement-based sort of Sepulchre challenges to upper skills, maybe like with minigames and such. So I feel like movement's like the tick system in the movement in RuneScape is very iconic. So taking advantage of it and like really putting it into as a challenge into more areas of the game, I think would be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, well, because we have gatherers and then we have buyables, like those are generally what they're called. But then we have agility, and I would argue thieving is one of those. Those are like the two that aren't considered buyables or gathering. They're just like on their own. And
Yeah.
thieving definitely could have a lot of movement. Like,
Oh yeah.
thieving should definitely have like some sort of mini game that's way more engaging. Thieving sucks, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like every
Yeah.
everything that has to do with thieving just absolutely blows.
I guess the Piscarilius thieving minigame, that's kind of like movement of thieving
Yeah, but
in
it's
a
like the
way.
most like
Yeah.
to be fair, I haven't really done much, so I can't talk too much, but I have done it a little bit, and I was just getting absolutely frustrated with it. I was like, this
Yeah.
is so stupid.
Did you do like the Wooks method where they set up the NPCs to get stuck or no?
I don't think so. I think I was just going in like blind, and I'm like, this is the worst. I know, obviously, there would be tons of ways to make it more efficient, but
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely feel like it could use some more. I guess Rogue's Den's kind of like agility thieving combination, but I don't think you get a lot of XP doing that.
dude, Rogue's Den has so much potential. That's what I really want to see, is like a Rogue's Den 2.0 that's like optimized. It's not as honestly, Rogue's Den has a lot of cool things to it, but it's just a place where you'll never go back once you get your Rogue's outfit.
Yeah.
So, okay. Champions Cape asks,
Oh.
how do you remain with your focus on stream, high level PVM with all that crazy noise in the background?
I feel like I just kind of embrace the chaos. I've kind of always, I don't know, like watching other people, if they have like some crazy distracting sounds going off to troll them, like I've just kind of found it funny. So I feel like my inner self just embraces the chaos, and I just somehow manage to focus with all the crazy sound redemptions going off. Careful, SpongeBob's.
Careful, SpongeBob.
Careful, SpongeBob.
I cannot make his voice, but yeah, that is literally the greatest sound ever, especially on Wardens.
It is.
What is the YouTube video of it? Is it the one where you're just doing the 500 for the first time with low gear? Or no, I think it was the one with you doing it with like lesser gear or something.
Yeah, I think it was less because like when I did the 500 of low gear, well, okay, I was doing it on a Sunday where servers were bad, so I actually died a couple times to Warden because I had like insanely noodle DPS, like over 2 minutes trying to kill the final lightning phase, and the servers are so laggy, so it's not registering my clicks, and I have so much careful SpongeBob spam, I couldn't react to the sound effect for Baba doing the boulder, so it was like I had to make it quiet to get the 500 budget clear done.
Dear God.
I reached my limit. But yeah, it was like I think it was one of those budget 300s or something where I had it.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
one of those. Oh my God. Oh, it might be the first 500. I don't remember. It was something.
Yeah, if you do things for long enough though on stream, the chat and like focusing on other things, sort of multitasking, just becomes pretty natural. At least that's what happened to me with Nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
just one tick flicking normal Nightmare was like pretty hard. I could never look at chat, and then give it a couple weeks, and I was like literally camping. My eyes were camping chat. I wasn't even looking at my game hardly, and it just felt natural.
Same happens just for me with ToA. Like first week, barely, really hard to keep up chat. Definitely over time though, got more better of like paying less and less attention and trying to actually keep up with chat more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Colby Rocket League asks, I've heard you mention simulating bosses a lot when going for world records. I'd love to hear how you build your tools for simulating fights, and if you ever plan on releasing anything like that publicly, open source for the community. Love the streams.
Yeah. So, I mean, I basically just coded up in like C++ because I'm used to using that from back when I went to school back in the day. And I actually do have some of my old sims up on my public GitHub if people want to kind of have a general idea of what I do. So I basically have like a I basically, I'm just because how the game works, it calculates an accuracy roll and a defense roll for a enemy or a player or whatever, and whoever gets a higher roll, gets to if the attacker gets a higher roll, you get to roll a damage hit from 0 to a max hit. Then there's like special attacks, other stuff, but I just kind of coded that all up to simulate that, and then when I do like a boss, like some are definitely more complicated than others to simulate. Like if you look at Zulrah, I'm just doing a set number of hits, so it's very simple. Just like have my character attack the boss, who I put like the HP and the defense values and all the stuff on the boss, and calculates max defense roll and all that. Um, I just be like hit it with the Tumikin 4 times, then do these hits. Try to do avenge by having the boss hit me and see if that hits me. I just do all that, but it's just a set number of hits. I'm good to go, and if the boss is 0 HP, that's +1 for success. And I just do that a million times, and we'll see what the odds are of getting world record. But for something like the Gross's Guardian's been doing now, it's a lot more complicated because it's like this speedrun record at the moment. There's so many different points of a boss fight where you have to make decisions, and your method kind of changes because it's like I have a certain basically for Dusk, I will always do Scythe Claw Chally, and then for Dusk P2, either double Scythe Chally or single Scythe Chally if I'm not don't have enough ticks left. And then for Dawn, it's like I have to make decisions of like, how many blowback hits am I gonna do? Am I gonna ballista early or ballista on this hit? How much HP does Dawn have? How many ticks am I at? Like there's a lot of decisions I have to make. So I have to in my sim code all that to be like, okay, based on how many times I've hit Dawn throughout the course of a fight, how much HP Dawn has left, what's our tick counter, like did I get the overkill on Dusk, like all these different things determine like when do I ballista, um, and so it's just tracking all these different things. So it's more complicated for something like that. And in the case of when I did my guide for Gauntlet, I actually simulated the boss fight tick by tick, so I could do eating, redemptioning, tick eating, like all that stuff. That one was much more complicated to do all that, but
Jesus.
it was kind of necessary because of it survivability is a big part of it, and tick eating, redemptioning. Those are all things that had to be simulated to get a actual realistic answer of what is the chance you kill the boss in this time.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, I do have a public GitHub where you can see some of my sims. I tend to have like a kind of a base template I work off of where I have like a bunch of weapons already coded in like their well what probably like what attack bonuses they'll have, or I know I think I have them set to 0 because I'm always changing up my gear and stuff, but I have them like coded in, and I put in like attack bonus max hit, and then it's kind of it does all the calculations on that. So I have a max attack roll and stuff, and then it has like a boss class that I can put the HP and stat values in, and then it calculates my rolls, and then yeah, it's just like a quick template to work off of, so I can make a sim for a new boss or whatever. But yeah, it's on my public GitHub, and maybe one day I'll try and make a sim that's possible for people to do their own. I mean, if you know how to code, then you could just take my sim, which is in C++, and work off of that, even if you want to, I guess. But yeah, it'd be tricky. It'd be kind of tricky because you kind of just have to know how to code to change the sim to sim a different boss, kind of. But maybe there'd be maybe I mean, yeah, the tricky thing of making a sim, but it's like a public interface you can work off of to change stuff. There's so many random little things you might need to account for certain
Yeah.
boss fights that it'd be impossible to include them all. It's easier if you're just like a programmer and can just code it in. So it'd be tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Some of those bosses do get a lot trickier, especially when they like are a little bit longer. Just like Hespori's one thing, but yeah, when you start
yeah,
increasing the times, it's like, oh geez.
yeah. And
What? Yeah,
oh,
go
sorry.
for it.
I was gonna say, and the trickiest thing about writing sims is that you don't really know when you have a right answer. So you gotta really code in such a way that you're really trying to avoid making any mistakes, or not just mistakes, but like any flaws in logic, because you might I don't know. You just have to really, really know the boss fight and know what you've coded, because it's like it's very easy to have one extra hit or one hit that didn't have a right. Uh, for example, on uh, when I was doing the Grotesque Guardians or whatever, it's like it's so confusing with like how many hits does my Thrall get with like my hits, and like counting that all up, like how many hits I get, and then I'm missing one Thrall hit and suddenly the success rate is like 10% worse. I'm like, wait, what happened? So it's
Jesus.
so yeah, it's so tricky to actually like make sure it's correct. Especially, I think the first one of the first times I did was for a rope skip, and there's so much that I had to learn from that, of like so many things I was getting wrong.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I can't even imagine because I'm not a
Yeah.
coder, but like, I can just imagine how much of a hassle that's got to be.
Yeah, and it was like even like Dio, DE0, he if you've heard of him, he made his own kind of like code for like doing like a sim for a rope skip, and we compared our code and we each had different issues. Like we were getting different numbers. I had a couple mistakes and he had a couple mistakes, and we both fixed different mistakes on our code to get to the same answer. So even like two different people had different errors they made in the simulation that had to be fixed. So like it's still hard to. I mean, obviously the rope skip's a lot more complicated to get everything precise, but yeah.
Sheesh. I do love how, I don't know, RuneScape is tick based, and so you get that. I don't know. There's like a sense of security, like with rope skipping, for example. Like you just do the things you're supposed to do, and it's. I mean, unless like the rangers and the majors hit you nothing, then you'll just die, you know. But
Yeah.
like for the most part, you just follow these steps per tick and you get the result. And I really love that about this game. I just love that it's tick based, because if it was like real time, like everything's actually like happening, that would just make things so insanely
Yeah, that would
complicated.
be a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool that there's just like a certain layout for certain world records and stuff. Now, when you're doing world records, I've heard that like you'll simulate something, but you want to get a simulation that's reasonable to do, so like under a certain amount of hours. How do you decide what strategy you're going to go for? Is it based on the amount of hours you would like to spend on it, or do you like, I don't know, try to go for like the toughest one that's reasonable?
It kind of varies based on a few factors. So I guess I'll use the Zulrah and Gargoyles as an example, because they both had a couple different factors at play. For Zulrah, 27.6 was a very nice time to go for, because it actually when I'm going for a Zulrah kill, I go for the Thrall overkill. For anybody who doesn't know what overkill is, if you kill an enemy in RuneScape and as the HP reaches zero, there's still damage coming towards it. Like let's say a Thrall hit that hasn't hit it yet or something, it will get overkill and it'll just speed up a death animation by one tick. It's like a weird thing, but the spaghetti code does. I don't know why. Um, so it's very important that the timing of my Thrall is like it's attacking one tick after me when I get the kill. So for Zulrah, 27.6 is very nice because I don't have to resummon my Thrall. If I go for a time that's like 27 seconds, for example, I would have to basically spellbook swap and then resummon my Thrall as Zulrah's going down, which is like a whole thing. It
Mm.
slows down the reset procedure, because I have to, while deciding if I've done enough damage, like do a reset with Zulrah attempt, I have to also be spellbook swapping. Like it really slows down the process. So 27.6 was like, you know, that was a big factor for why I wanted to go for it. And just in general, like that had like a very good success rate with like the way the ticks work out for doing knife specs into blowpipes into T-bow and such. It just worked out to a very good success rate, essentially. I was definitely considering going for like 27 or whatever, but I don't know. I just knew 27.6 was a time that was relatively free. I mean, until we went like over double the drop rate, like 20 hours in to get it. But it was supposed to be like an 8-hour record.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, but I do have plans for Zora. I just wanted to get it because I felt like it was too free of a time for someone to take. But I do have plans to return to it eventually and improve it a bit more.
What are you going to try to improve it to?
I'm still debating whether I'm either gonna go for 25.2 or like 20. I feel like 27 is too maybe not quite enough, but either
What would,
25.2. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What would 25.2, like, how long would that take on average?
I'm trying to remember because I was considering trying to think. I did have a Sims a while back. Let me think. It was. Uh, how much was it? Because I spent most of my time simming the other ones. Like 25.2 was like an idea I had that was kind of like a long. It was like a goal I was like maybe I'll go for, but it's kind of crazy. So it would be a long grind. Like it's definitely probably within the range of 40 to 100 hours on average, but I have to resim it.
4,200 hours?
No, sorry, 40 to 100. Like
Oh,
I don't
I
remember
was
the exact
like,
number.
Jesus, you're gonna like
No, no,
what?
no, no.
Like
It's
that's a
somewhere around.
jump.
It's
Okay.
probably somewhere around there because
Okay.
I know like a big problem is once you go below 26.4. In fact, wait, below 27, I should say, because below 26.4, blue phase Zulrah no longer hits your Venge. You kill it too fast. So
Mm,
it's really only green phase that's viable anymore. Blue phase still has like a chance, but your success rate goes down a lot at that point because of that. And at 26.4 specifically, you can take Avenge from Zulrah, but then you don't get the overkill because it's like your Thrall is before Avenge, so Avenge is what would kill Zulrah. So there's nothing left for overkill, so you get 27-second time instead. So it's kind of like if you want to go under 27 seconds, you kind of got to skip 26.4 and go straight to 25.8. So
sheesh.
it's like it's kind of a pain how it works out.
I love it though.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like going for speed runs that are longer, such as doing CMs or Inferno or ToA speed runs? Are you more of a fan of like the more precise micro sort of strats that are under a minute, or do you like the long game of I don't know, doing things that are
Uh,
like in between 20 minutes and an hour?
yeah. There's definitely doing the short ones are satisfying in their own way in the sense that when you set a record for like Zulrah or Gross's Guardians, it's probably a record that's not going to really be beaten for a while, and it's like a very like you did it pretty much the whole fight's tick perfect. So that is a nice aspect of it, but at the same time, you're also spending 30 hours, 60 hours losing GP just resetting over and over to this one boss
Yeah.
without even killing it. But I do enjoy like the longer grinds. Obviously at one point I did have a tied solo chambers record with Addy years ago, so I do enjoy speedrunning the other ones. I do plan on like improving my Inferno and CMPB soon. Like once I finish with Grotesque Guardians, I'll probably go back to ToA, maybe do some ToA speedruns and some other stuff, and start to slowly work on the Inferno and CMs. I probably will try to get CM solo record because like um I'm pretty much when I was going for my sub 30 pre ToA, I was pretty much the method I was doing pretty much had the capability of getting world record if we had the RNG. So I'm already at the skill level to, push for world record solo CM. I do want to push for a good Inferno time as well, but skill wise, my Inferno speedrun skills are like very far off of world record. So whereas CM, I just need the RNG for it. Inferno, I need the skill for it still. My PB is only like a 51 something for Inferno, but I mean that's pre ToA, but still, I've been slacking on the Inferno grind, but I do enjoy them, and I really wanna improve on my Inferno speedrun times because it's a one area of a game. I will say this, I'm not the best at maintaining precise clicks for a long period of time. Like for like, you know, that's why like I'm pretty good at these like short speed runs, like the versus Guardians and stuff. But I kind of struggle sometimes with like keeping good consistent clicks for like a long time for like an entire Inferno. Though
Oh
I
yeah.
guess for yeah, but I guess for CMs I don't have too much of an issue. I guess CMs is a bit easier though. It Inferno is so much constantly being on tick and precise.
Oh, and you have to click like tiny little nibblers that spawn. Like it's so
Yeah,
hard to click those things. And you have to do like switch your prayer and then in the same tick swipe across the screen and try to click a bat or something within the same tick. It's like,
yeah,
yeah. You see Adicon, he makes it look so easy, and you see Roster making
yeah.
it look easier. It's like you guys have like straight zoomer clicks. You guys are just going everywhere like crazy. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so I got work to get on that level for Inferno. But yeah, definitely I do enjoy the long speed runs. It's nice that I get to actually it's a bit more chill in a way, but like I'm actually doing runs, not just resetting over and over and over and over the first 2 seconds of a boss. I guess except for Tecton, but yeah.
What are your thoughts on a high scores, like an official high scores that has all the boss speed runs?
I would be a big fan of that. I feel like it'd be cool if they also had like I guess yeah, I guess there's a high scores that have names because like they've kind of had like if you look at the board for say Gauntlet, they had the fastest time but no names. I feel like it's nice to have like you have a high score, your name shows up, just like it does for if you get a lot of kill counts. So I'd be
That
a big fan
is
of like even like a because I feel like people go for high kill count, go for high XP. People love to push for like rankings, but there's nothing like that for speedrunning. Even though speedrunning is like such a I feel like a big part of something for end game players to do, while there's like no content updates. So I feel like it'd be really nice to have like a high scores for it. That'd be like really really good.
Yeah, the official high scores would be amazing to have that. But that is really strange that there isn't their names posted on the boards. I just realized that. That is really kind of weird because like Sepulchre doesn't have it either.
Yeah, and even for like for CMs, for the weekly boards for the world, it does have the names, but then for like the global best, no name.
That's so
So it's
stupid. Yeah, that's weird.
yeah,
Like, what's the point? Like, just
yeah,
you're going for this time, okay, but who beat it? Like, just
yeah,
that's strange.
yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, this I should have asked this earlier.
Hmm.
Mandrew asks, just curious, what does your name mean? Big fan.
Oh yeah. So my name, I have a command in my chat to explain this because it's a mouthful, but essentially MolGoatKirby. It's back in high school. Me and my girlfriend have this sort of like inside joke of this kind of character we created that combines mole, MOL, because it's like she was in chemistry and mole is like it's like a chemistry number thing, and it's also the animal, which is just a cute animal that we both like. So double the meaning behind that one, and then goat, just because goats are cool, and then Kirby, because Kirby's cool. We
MolGoat
just
Kirby.
yeah, we just kind of we like always like rate up little inside jokes in high school, but yeah, we just came up with this thing. I actually made a little flash animation of Mobile Kirby, like a Kirby riding a goat. Um, it's one of my emotes now, but I made that in high school, that little animated emote.
It's
Yeah,
funny because like I never really exactly know what to call you. I just call you MolGoat because it's like
yeah,
just the shorter version. Is that what most people would probably call you? Or
yeah. A lot of people say Molgo. Some people say Mole. A lot of people say Kirby.
okay.
Some people say Molgo Kirby. Yeah,
Yeah,
lots of.
I never know because I'm like, do I say Molgo or just like or do I say Kirby? It's just like, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Interesting.
but yeah, that's the origin name.
Okay, let's see. This is an interesting question. Chick asks, random question: what would you do if Jagex instantly disbanded? No more RuneScape.
Uh, being in a tough place as a full-time RuneScape streamer.
I know. We'd all jump to that little like what's that game Sick Nerds playing? You've seen that? Like it's a
Uh,
classic. It's like not even RuneScape, but it looks like sort of like a
I
RuneScape classic.
I heard of it. I haven't seen him play it, but I heard people tell me about this. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it's called though, but
We'd all jump over to there.
yeah. I mean, I guess I'd see. Like, I mean, I kind of wished I branched out to variety sooner, but
Yeah, at that point, yeah. I
yeah,
feel like okay, first of all, I don't see OSRS dying.
same.
And even if it were, first of all, that's a while away, and we will see it. Like, it's not just gonna be like, all right, we're done updating it. Like, we would see it slowly dying. They'd make some
Yeah.
stupid updates or something, and we probably would lose interest before like they actually were to stop updating it completely or just get rid of it completely. I feel like most people would have already left the game. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting concept, but and even if it were to just be like one day it's gone, like I feel like there would just be private servers or something. And yeah,
Oh
again,
yeah.
this is all like hypothetical because I don't even see them actually just shutting the game down.
Yeah, there's no way. No, I've had years and years of warning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. I'd probably try out some variety streaming. Maybe see like there's games I've thought of playing, but obviously if you play RuneScape, you don't have time to really play a second MMO. But I mean, there's ones I consider. I've heard of Genshin. Maybe I give that a try. I don't know.
I saw
I,
you doing your Elden Ring streams.
oh
Those
yeah,
were kind of cool. It felt like you were taking a different, not like a different spin, but it seemed like you were doing the same sort of stuff you do in RuneScape, like trying to, I don't know, just improve on bosses and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Like
So that's
like I did a level one playthrough as well, which is a challenge. And then
yeah, like that. I feel like if something were to happen, you'd be just fine because you just end up speedrunning some other games. Do you find like those retro games fun at all? I know like speedrunning in those like old Nintendo games are pretty big, like Zelda and
Yeah.
Mario.
I was gonna say, honestly, I would definitely consider doing some Mario 64 speedruns because I watch Cheese as Twitch streamer speedrun Mario 64, and I've always been a fan of watching speedruns on Twitch. It's like, but when I first started watching Twitch is back in the day of like people speedrunning the old Pokemon games on like very OG old school ones. So I would definitely think I would enjoy just speedrunning some old sort of games like that because the Mario 64 speedrun is pretty crazy. Like how they've spent years and years speedrunning a game better and better, and like the times they get now are just below the times they used to get out of the water, and like it's insane. The skill curve that's happened after just it's such an old game, but they've somehow still gotten better and better at it after like so many years.
Yeah. Well, oh, I forgot to ask about this earlier. What are your thoughts on Quest speedrunning? Have you touched it at all?
Yeah. I got all the platinums so the day came out. So I've
Easy.
touched
Just
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
I had the worst RNG, but like when I was doing Dragon Slayer, I just kept noodling so badly. I would get for 3 minutes to kill the boss, and I hit nothing. Like what is happening?
Sheesh.
But I think they increased the time limit by like a minute, so I guess it wouldn't have had that issue now.
Mm.
But yeah, I like it. I am curious when they add more quests. Obviously, the tricky thing is we kind of need to get the speed run time to be like a good, good mix between challenging and not too easy.
Hmm.
And the problem with that is like there could be speed run tech we don't know about. So I think are they just like always releasing the quest to a beta world before they release it to the main world, and they just kind of see what sort of times people can get? Like, is that what they're doing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean that would be the smartest way to go about it. I don't know how they decide.
Yeah,
I,
but it.
yeah.
Oh, so you go first,
I'm
yours.
just excited for them to come out with those like more in-depth quests like Monkey Madness 2 and things like that. Like
Yeah.
things that are really going to be a treat to just see the competition involved. And I'm going to be honest, if they want to make I mean cuz you see those worlds, like let me just look at how many people
Yeah.
on the speedrun worlds.
Oh my goodness.
Not 0 0 0 1 2. The most any of these worlds have, for those just listening and can't see, is 4. There's 4
Oh.
people on one of them. But I don't know. I think they really could add some great rewards. Like, for example, if they really wanted to get people into quest speedrunning, not to like try to force it too much, but there really could be some sort of incentive, some reward thing you could get. I know they already have those outfits coming out and stuff, but like I don't know. It's hard to say
Yeah.
because like a lot of people just aren't obviously a lot of people aren't interested, but
Yeah. I mean, the new home teleport they give is I think it was 5 ticks faster than the normal home teleport spell.
ooh, okay, that's
So
actually worth it. I was wondering about that. I was like, is that just the same
yeah,
speed?
yeah. Like I forget if it's 5, but I did count it. It was like something like 5 ticks. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's cool, I guess. Okay. And I do want to get that new graceful. That looks pretty sick when you can
Oh
actually get it. But
yeah,
you still can't even purchase it yet, can you?
yeah. I don't think you can. I think you have to still wait for more quests to come out.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to them doing some more with it. I haven't even touched it. Mainly cuz I don't know, just have other things doing on this account, but it still is a
Yeah,
cool thing. I'm a little disappointed that not many people are going after it, mainly because I'm just selfish and I just want to watch people go fast. I
yeah,
don't actually want to be the one going fast. I
yeah,
just want to watch the competition, but yeah. So selfishly, of course, I'd like to see them improve on quest speedrunning just to see some more competition, but I'm not gonna like try to, I don't know, get people incentivized too much to do it just artificially.
yeah. I guess the big, at the moment, there's just like 5 quests out, so people get it done, and now there's no. You get it done in a day, and you're kind of chilling.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I'm hoping once they put more quests out there and more rewards, you'll see more activity. Cause yeah,
All right. Mo Amian asks, when are you going to do the agility laps you owe us? I'm unfamiliar with that. And he also asks, would you ever make an iron? And then he says, just wanted to thank you for being the kindest guy on Twitch. I can agree with that.
So I mean, I have like a channel point award where people can redeem it to make me do sepulchre laps, and I think at this point I owe like a level 102 agility or so. So I'm a bit behind on that, just a little behind. We'll get there one day.
All right, what do you think about Ironman mode? You ever touched
I
Ironman?
I actually do have a hardcore. I played it on stream a few times in the past. I think the last time I played it was like a year or two ago because I was like, it was ready for Inferno. I wanted to do like a semi mid low level Inferno. It was like 65 combat or something. But I had to de-rust and learn the low level. I had to remember how to do like the low level Zuck where you stack the mages if I was going to do it at this level. And then I think like Trailblazer or something was coming out or Twisted or I don't know, something was coming out that I had to do. And I just kind of never got back on the account. But definitely once I get caught up on some of between ToA and some world records I'm going for, like once I get kind of caught up on some of my goals, I think I will play it again. Get that Inferno, that low level Inferno done, or maybe we'll just die and just do it at like a higher level after we burn our supplies. But yeah, I definitely want to come back to it. The thing about Ironman mode, I really like it. I think it's like a fun game mode. Biggest problem is I don't have unlimited time and a lot of goals in the main game. So it's like I feel like if I had more time in the world, I would love to just really go hard on Iron and try to get like all of its stuff.
Yeah, it's
Very
an
much,
insane time commitment. Like,
yeah.
just even thinking about how many hours I've put on my account. Like, I'm over 700 days on this
Oh damn.
account alone, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes when you play this game for so long, like you start to forget how long grinds actually take because it's just like if you have a main account, it's just a huge accumulation of everything you've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I just got to this point all of a sudden. But it's like, dude, this took so many hours that you're not even thinking of.
I kind of had that thought when I was like, man, I've spent 65 hours reaching Grotesque Guardians trying to get the sub one. I can't believe how many hours I've spent on that already.
Yeah, it's crazy how it just flies by. I mean, even I think of just like my Sarachnis. Like sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I've done Sarachnis for a good bit, but then I actually think about it. I'm like, I've almost done 25,000, and it's like under.
Oh my.
I mean, it's like about 50 kills an hour. So like I'm looking at like 500 hours there.
Holy.
Just like killing spider. And that would be like efficient. I don't even think I on average even get 50 kills an hour, including all the clues and breaks and running there and stuff. But yeah, it's insane how the time just adds up and it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
anything. Okay.
It
Yeah, no,
definitely
go
did
ahead.
not feel like I spent 65 hours doing Grotesque Guardians, but
Yeah.
I look back, I'm like, wow, the VODs add up.
Yep. Yep. Okay, here's the topic from the Patreon. Somebody asked, it doesn't have a Twitter, so Sadat asks, if you could only eat one thing / dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's a tricky one. There's definitely some meals. I was thinking about this a bit earlier because I saw there was like a Twitter post for stuff as well. Um, there's some meals that are tempting, like really, really like comfort food, like mac and cheese, like a burger or something. But problem with those, you get tired of it if you have it every day. So I was kind of thinking if I had to pick one meal, I'd probably go with sushi. Like it could be
Yes.
heavy or like a bit light, and then you get a bit of variety. And I feel like I could eat that every day easily, and I would like love it.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, we're on the same page here.
oh,
Sushi.
nice.
Yeah.
Sushi
Anything
all the way.
honestly, anything from the sea. Like I just absolutely
Oh
love
yeah,
seafood.
same. It's so good.
Yeah. Like if I could just have seafood all like for the rest of my life, I'd probably be fine. If I was stranded on an island with like fish and stuff, yeah, I'd be totally chilling.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Let's see. Was your recent IRL cooking stream your first time doing an IRL stream? And can you see yourself expanding and doing something like this more often?
Yeah, that was my first time doing an IRL sort of thing. Uh, I had to like learn how to do like how to record like in a different location and send it over to my PC. So it was actually very simple, which is good. Surprised how easy it is to because I like the double camera POV going, which is really cool. Um, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I could definitely see myself doing it again. Because I always, I teased doing like a cooking stream for years. Like I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be fun, but never got around to doing it. But then obviously we got the HelloFresh thing, so I was like, well, let's give it a go. We'll try the cooking stream out, see how it is. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially with having my girlfriend help me with like the filming, because I feel like people really like the double POV. Because that's the thing. I feel like I see cooking streams sometimes, and they got the one camera, so you can only see so much going on.
Yeah,
But
it's a bit claustrophobic.
yeah, but double POV, you got the general view from my laptop sitting in like the center of the kitchen, and then you have like my girlfriend with the camera just following me with the phone, following me around, so you get a more close-up view at like the stuff I'm doing. So
Yep.
it, I think it'd be cool if I could get like some sort of like a, I don't know, some sort of like GoPro or something, so like I can like see the actual POV, like a video
Yeah,
game
that'd
when I'm
be
doing
awesome.
stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely want to do more. I think it's a lot of fun doing stuff like that. The IRL sort of like cooking stream and such. So hopefully we can do that again in the near future.
Very cool. All right. He also asks, what would you like to see as the next big PVM update for OSRS?
The next big PVM
I guess
update.
besides Raids 4, like something in between from
Yeah.
now and then.
I'm guessing also besides, because obviously the Tactical Trials have been like teased as like a thing. That's
Yeah, that's
obviously
actually the
a big
next
update.
topic he has, Blue Inferno.
Yeah.
But
Because I
yeah, other
mean,
than that as well, I guess too.
yeah. Other than that, I mean, hard to. I mean, obviously, I'm a sort of player who loves challenging content. So if it's something like, obviously, we just had raids 3, so it's gonna be a while before raids 4, so it's not time for that. But and it's tricky because Tactical Trials coming out potentially is one of the next big ones, and it's like that's kind of what I was gonna say, something like along those lines, like a challenging piece of content that's like you get a reward for doing it. Because I mean, at the moment we just got a lot of new items from like a lot of tradable items like Missouri, Fang, Staff. So it's not like we're in dire need of adding a new boss with a new drop table too badly right now. So something that's more of like, because it's been a long time since we had something like the Inferno, but it gives like it's a challenging piece of content. You do it, you get a reward that like improves your account. I feel like it's been a while since the last update they gave us that. So. I feel like that's the next sort of big thing we need. And it's kind of, I guess it goes closer to that next question because the Blue Inferno is kind of like one of potentially the next big things we could be seeing. I guess there's like that Wildy PVM coming, but oh, so I guess we already have some drop table items coming into the game. But yeah, just challenging piece of content that gives us a new account progression on tradables. I feel like is what we need next.
Something I would love to see is sort of like a boss like Akka that's a standalone boss that's just repeatable and you get a drop from it. Not obviously a copy of Akka, but I just love how Akka works out where there's just a lot of rhythm. I mean, I'm talking mainly about the butterfly method, sort of. Just
Yeah,
ways. I don't know. Like a boss like that just feels so good. And something like that as a 3-minute standalone fight sort of maybe like 3 to 5 minutes or something like just like half the time of a Fasani's potentially just something
yeah.
repeatable where you're just grinding out some new niche armor or some weapon or something like that would be really fun because like
Yeah,
yeah I don't know.
I could see that. That could be kind of nice. I guess it's kind of similar to, I guess, God Wars kind of evolved into sort of like not as advanced as Firefly, but people doing like kiting methods,
Yeah
and it's definitely and I feel like it's enjoyable. Like movement's the big thing that uh the big thing that separates I feel like RuneScape from other MMOs is like the movement system and the tick system.
mm-hmm
So I feel like the game really has to take advantage of that and really um embrace that part of the game and give us mechanics involving it. So definitely a boss like that could be nice.
yeah I was even just thinking right now Sodaseg is it's a pretty fun fight. I was thinking how cool would it be to have a fight that's sort of like Sodaseg, except you're getting multiple, maybe like 5 different runs at the little path that it generates. But the path can be even more insane. It can have like direct diagonals, and it can have paths that you actually need to like run over. Like I don't know, like you know what I mean, where when you run, you skip a tile, something like that, where you could actually I don't know, just some more unique paths that you run there, kill the boss. But on the path, I think what would be so cool, and I've brought this up before, is this idea of the floor changing colors from red, blue, and green. And so whatever it changes to, like it'll give a couple flashes that it's about to change. and then you have to switch your prayer, or even
Ooh.
certain types of the path will be blue or red or green, and so when you're on them, you need to be praying that protection prayer in order to not get like dominated. So you have a little bit more going on with it, but it's still fun, engaging. You got to go quick. And then, yeah, I don't know. Something with the movement and the boss, it just gets really fun. And something that would be just satisfying to grind over and over would be just, I think that would be fun.
Yeah. I had like a random idea in my head, just like, those are some cool ideas as well. I really like that, a prayer for floors, but I had a random idea just now. Like, imagine a floor and the path, it must be done tick perfectly. Like, instead of just being like a path, you can take, kind of travel how many tiles you want at a time to go through the static path. It's like
It
a
has to be
path,
tick perfect.
it has to be tick perfect, and it has the idea of like, there'll be floors, there'll be maybe a different color, and a different or like there's a number on it. Yeah, a number. And if it has like say the number 2, you need to step on a tile and then step on a second time. Like imagine like you get to a point where it's like you have to go back and forth between 2 tiles a couple times and then progress forward. Like weird
Ooh.
little like
So like sort of like a puzzle involved in it as well.
yeah, it's almost like a rhythm game as well. It's like going like paying these notes or I don't know, but something like that. Like you're almost like repeating tiles of points, like doing weird, fancy, back and forth movements. I feel like that would look really cool and feel satisfying when you do it correctly.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I feel like it would look sick when you do it.
Something that I also really love is, you know how at the end of a God Wars dungeon kill, at least, I don't know, the traditional Zammy method when you used to like arc light it and you're flicking it. What was really fun is when you finally finish off Krill and you go to the minions and you're praying piety every 4 ticks and then switching your 3 protection prayers every 5 ticks. But
Yeah.
what would be really cool is if there was certain patterns like that, because first of all, that stuff's really fun. It's really tough initially because it's
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, like it's so overwhelming, like what's happening. But as soon as you understand what you have to pray, it becomes like a little rhythm to it. And I think what would be really cool is a boss that you almost have like a limited amount of prayer, so you actually have to do the 1 tick flicks, sort of. So it forces you to
Yeah.
kind of learn how to do that in a way, and have different rhythms. So you'd have like guys that are attacking at every 3 ticks or 5 ticks. Then you have the main thing that you're hitting, which is like every, I don't know, certain amount of ticks, like something like that, which would definitely be very challenging, not for everybody, but like, I don't
Hmm.
know, it would definitely improve your skills dramatically doing things like that repeatedly.
Yeah, I'd be a big fan of that, especially turning it into a rhythm game. But
Yes, yes, I love it.
yeah, I'd love if it did that because I did, obviously, I never did too much of an early Bandos meta of like, being in like melee gear. Like by the time I was doing it, it kind of switched to the meta of like Bofa and such. But yeah, I would still kill the minions and like they're all like on different timings. But the idea of having bot enemies at different takes and like flicking between them definitely would be really satisfying, I feel like. So that'd be cool.
What are your thoughts on a new skill?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Um, I'm not maxed anyways.
Yeah,
Not much of a
this,
difference to me.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I feel like we haven't had a skill in so long. Like as I remember, back in the day, construction coming out, and then don't remember if Slayer was out already when I started playing like the original game, but when summoning coming out, like I feel like it's very exciting when you get a new skill. Obviously, it's old school. People don't like the change, and I know sailing and warding past. I think they had their own issues, those skills. But I feel like if we could get a new skill that's like a good skill that people want, it could pass a poll, and I feel like it'd be a lot of fun. Like it'd be a huge update to the game. Like we've never had a new skill in all of old school, but I remember back in the day what it was like when a new skill came out. It's so much content added, and it really just gives you so much to do. I feel like it'd be really exciting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I've been wanting sailing, and I think I've kind of been leaning on sailing mainly because I feel like most people would be okay with it. It's an exploration skill. It's probably going to involve a lot of combat because you're going to get like randomly generated monsters out at sea potentially. And it also just, I don't know, I feel like it would include a lot of other skills. Construction would be one, building your boat
Yeah.
potentially, and I don't know, it could be seen as a gold sink as well because if you really wanted to pimp out your boat, you
Yeah.
can add some gold leaves to it and stuff, you know.
Oh yeah. Give that demonic throne on top of your
Yes.
ship.
And there is the potential for PvP. I mean, imagine going like sailing out to like above
Oh,
the wilderness, like and just having little wars against people, because then you could like have a completely fresh slate and balance sailing PvP perfectly from the get-go. You know what I mean?
yeah. Imagine you do like a battle between ships, and whoever loses their ship and all the stuff they built on it.
Yes, that'd be so dope. Like those would be
Oh,
intense fights. Like watching that, like that would be PvP I would want to witness. But there
oh,
would, obviously that would take a lot of dev
yeah.
time and a lot of thought and careful balancing and stuff. But that would be so cool. I think sailing's the one I'm leaning toward. Bard was really cool. I don't know if you ever saw that Reddit post by
I,
Caveman Only and Gentle
I feel like
Tracker and Screetmonge.
I feel like I saw it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. Well, Caveman Only was on the Sae Bae cast for like 6.5 hours talking about
Oh
it.
my
So
goodness.
it was definitely like I got to have the full experience of just learning about the skill and what he would like to see from it. It's definitely not really combat related though. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't want Bard. I want to kill stuff," you know. So I feel
Yeah,
like we need to sort of lean in order for it to pass. It needs to be somehow combat related.
it would definitely help.
Yeah, but yeah, it's tough.
hmm
Okay. I want to ask you what your goals are in game. Right now, you're working on beating the Grotesque. I know you currently hold the tied world record for Grotesque Guardians. Is that true?
We have the record,
Oh,
but we're going for
okay.
sub one. We want the sub one
Okay. So you
because
tied it previously because by a tick or something? Or am I even getting that right? Did you tie at
I
all? For some reason, that's in my
nah,
head. Okay.
I was a tick too slow, and then I was a tick faster than my record, so I kind of skipped over
Oh, okay. I
the
see.
tie.
I see. But you're still trying to go. Oh, so you got exactly a minute, right?
Minute oh 06. So it
Okay.
was like a point, like a tick over a minute.
So you need to save 2 more ticks.
Yeah, and we've had so many close calls. We had that run a couple days ago, but I was literally 10 HP off of finishing it, and we'd be done our grind.
That's so
Uh,
painful.
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of pain in those grinds, just seeing the RNG just go so
Oh yeah.
well and then just plank at the end.
Like I've had so many runs where like, blowpipe has 90% accuracy, so 10% chance to miss. So if I see four zeros in a row, that's a 1 in 10,000 chance, and I see it way too often. It's so troll. My blowpipe on P2 Dawn, it forgets what it's doing. Doesn't know how
Oh
to do damage
God.
anymore. Oh,
And then what's
but
after that, do you think, for goals?
so after we're done with that, I'll probably for a while kind of, do some ToA. I want to, get a bit more money from ToA just to fund future grinds because ToA is still a lot of money per hour. Might do a bit, speedrunning, bit of high level invocation raids as well. Because I still haven't done any 575s. I kind of want to do that at some point. Just kept putting it off because I kept playing when servers were busy, and doing a 575 raid when servers are like a tick of delay did not seem like fun.
Yep.
So yeah. But after that, I want to kind of work towards Inferno and CM speedrunning. So definitely doing that, kind of working towards hopefully getting at least close to CM record. And for Inferno, we're miles away from Inferno record. So just getting our sub 50, working down to like a 45-minute time, maybe I'd be happy with. Maybe pushing for record if I can really improve my clicks. But I also want to start working on. I want to update some of my combat guides with ZCB. Some of the methods change a bit with ZCB, kind of replacing claw specs. And I do have a few more combat achievement guides I haven't made yet. Like I never did one for fight caves, never did one for Inferno sub 65, never did any guides for chambers or CM solo speedrun. So I want to make those guides as well. And I actually have the footage all recorded for doing the Daganov Kings, kill the three at the same time thing, to like the method. There's like a really good method to make it a lot more consistent, but I just never made the guide. So
Mm.
so yeah, pretty much working towards getting footage for those guides on stream and just kind of doing that because yeah, beyond that, I mean, not sure where else to go. So I'll have to see where else where else we go for in the future. But that's like, that's a lot of stuff though. That alone will take up a long time.
Yeah. And then in between, are you going to be working on Max as well? Or are you just
Yeah,
like, not really?
I kind of have to because the Maxscape is like so important to
It,
speedrunning
it
now. So
is. It really
I
is.
kind of need it now.
Yeah. It's funny how that kind of came to be. Initially, MaxSafe came out, no perks, no nothing, and then all of a sudden it's just
Yep.
the most busted object in the universe
Yeah.
of Gillinor. Yeah.
Even weighs like 7 kilograms less when the like Inferno keep in assembler.
Yeah, it's fucking busted. What do you think of customizable Maxscapes? Do you like it? There are people that are still kind of purists with it, where they just want to keep the original red Maxscape, don't have any customizations, at least where it comes to utility. Obviously, we do have different Maxscapes, but like a Maxscape
Yeah.
that still acts as a Maxscape with different colors and stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I like, when I max at least, I feel like I would just keep my like obviously I would use the Inferno version and the assembler version because they weigh less.
Hmm.
But for the actual utility version, I'd probably just keep it normal so I can like know which cape is the right one to use
Yeah.
and not get confused in my inventory.
There's been a few suggestions, like people just want us, like they want the ability to just change the color, like you would change a color like of your hair in game, just change the Maxscape color. But
Yeah.
there's also been like Champions Cape, Max Cape, and other things. I guess you're not Max, so it's definitely probably not been on your mind as much as for other people that
Yeah.
have been maxed for years. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want some customizable Maxscapes. I've been really looking forward to it. I feel like the red one just, it's great and all, and then it's like this thing is just getting like it's so basic. I don't know. It gets old. And red's never been my favorite color or anything. I want to see, well, now that we actually have the yellow Maxscape with the assembler, like I kind of, that works as well, but I want it to have the functionality of a Maxscape as well.
Yeah.
They could even do something with like graceful. Like they could just like make your graceful cape whatever color you have and just mix that color with the Maxscape. Anyway, I know you don't really care about this. I've just brought it up just in case. But okay, we've actually covered all the topics, so I want to ask you, is there anything else you would like to kind of touch on before I ask you for some shout outs?
Do I have any other last words? Let me think.
No, we've covered quite a bit. I'm just making
Yeah,
sure.
we covered a lot. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else I want to mention? I don't know if there is, because that's a lot of stuff we covered. If there is anything, I can't think of it in the moment.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you then for 3 shout outs from the community. Anybody that you think deserves one and why.
Let's
And
think.
I just brought this up on him, so I did not ask him this previously, so he's on the spot now for those listening.
I guess I'll shout out. I mean, uh, gonna shout out New Type because why not? He's been gaming. He did the first 600 completion in ToA. He did the 770 completion back when
Yeah.
the bug abuse thing was there. He took a 2-week vacation for it. He's been
Yeah, he's a
he's
beast.
been going yeah, he's been going hard. I'll give him a shout out for sure. Well, absolute legend. And who else? 2 more. It's so hard. I mean, I feel like we definitely mentioned some people already. The streamer gamers, so it's so hard to pick people. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'll give Rasta man a shout. He's been gaming, pushing that solo CM record and Inferno record. Like it's actually insane how the times he's been pushing them both at the same time. Like he's absolute beast. Definitely check out Rasta man if you want some top tier gaming.
Hell yeah.
And who do I do last? I'm gonna go with. It's so hard to I have to like pick between one. I'm trying. There's like there's so many people you could pick.
Oh
It's like
yeah. No, I limit it to 3 because it's just like, and it doesn't even have to be top 3. Just anybody you think is like deserving.
yeah, because I'm also I'm trying to I don't want to shout like someone who already has like a big audience.
Yeah.
Defeats the purpose of it. Well, I mean Ross has been really good though with his Twitch. Like holy,
Oh yeah, he's been killing
popping
it.
off. Uh, last one. I don't know. I'll do. I don't know. I'll go for Smork. Why not?
Hell
Corporate
yeah.
Gauntlet world record holder. He's a gamer. Been doing also the Inferno stuff and the ToA speedruns. I think he had the record at one point, but then someone took it. Yeah, I'll do Smork 3000. Another legendary gamer. But there's so many other people to give shouts to as well. It's hard having to pick 3, but many others.
Yeah. No, you literally named the 3 like biggest gamers of like the past couple months. Honestly, that's what it feels like. Noob Type came out of nowhere with the I know Port Kazard was the first one with the 500
Yeah.
Like he was doing like some crazy tech with that, and then
Yeah.
Noob Type just grinding out some 575s all of a sudden like the next week.
Oh yeah.
It's cool to see though. It's nice to also have those giga brains in the community, including yourself, because like yeah, I mean at least for me, I'm not the one that's doing the DPS calcs or finding out simulations on how to do things. So when I have a guide on how to get my little kits, it's nice.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love to help. Like I love hearing just people tell me how my guys helped them get their kit or their Fang kit or whatever. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah. Okay, MolGoat, I had an absolute pleasure today. I'm going to have your links down in the description. So your YouTube, your Twitch, your Twitter. Is there anything else you'd like linked?
I mean, that's all. That's the main things, really. I mean, there's my Discord server, but I don't think you would really link the Discord server. So yeah,
If you want, I can link it, but that's up to you.
that's okay. But
All right.
that should be good. That
All
should
right.
be good, yo.
Perfect.
But yeah, it was a pleasure to be on. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a lot of fun. It just flies by. We've already been talking for almost 2.5 hours. So
Yeah, it went by fast.
yeah. MolGoat, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Guys, next week we are going to be having Sick Nerd on the cast. That is going to be coming up on Thursday. And then some more guests later on. If you guys would like to support the podcast, down in the description there's a Patreon link. If you'd like to either give a monthly pledge or just a one-time little donation, it would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, MolGoat, thank you very much. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.